think, they'll be sat at home with the kids waiting for the Marvel jokes to come on and that. What's Jake and Nathan and Leo? Can just imagine them all there with it, can't you?
You think he's gonna figure it out, Leo?
Fucking last people.
Can't hear you, buddy. We lost you now. Went live and lost him.
Okay, I'm back.
Oh, you're back. You're back now. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Jerks live podcast with your co-hosts Jathan and our guest today, Leo, Mr. Free Comics.
What's up, guys? What's up? Doing pretty good. Pretty good. Just a chill Sunday.
Yeah, man. Jathan, how are you today?
We are known as one Jason now, though. I'm not Jason. It's just me and you, just like Brangelina. Yeah. We are now Jason.
Locked in.
Locked in together.
Someone had to step in for Gingy, man. Someone had to step in for Gingy. Hey, I just want to really quickly give a shout out to Gingy for giving me a platform.
Absolutely.
Gingy's a top geezer. Yeah, Gingy's great. Yeah. Doesn't mean he's not a wanker, but it's still great. Like, still love
He's
Gingy.
A geezer now? I didn't realize he was old enough to be a geezer.
Well, he's not, is he? But this is YouTube, so none of it's real. So I can pretend. Oh, cheers, Leo, for coming on. I know it's been weeks and weeks in the making, but as we said on the podcast yesterday, I couldn't be asked. Basically,
things happen. Were you busy that one day or something? You said you were working, right? So
I was working one day, and I should have done 2 shows. I think that's when I should have done Ian's show with you as well, wasn't it, Nate?
Yeah, that was the day you were supposed to do Ian's show with me, and I think Billy stepped in and did the show with me instead. And then that afternoon, we were going to do this one with Leo. So, but then you went on vacation to Spain instead because you're God and you're high and mighty, and you had to get out of England for a little bit.
Of course, yeah, definitely had to get out of England. I've had no holiday for 3.5 years.
We got the chat jumping in here. Good morning, sunshines. Cafe, what's up? Lewis, what's going on, man? How you doing today?
Good morning, everyone.
It is early for me. Leo, you and I are in the same time zone. You're down in Texas, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right about noontime here.
Yeah. Games are about to kick off soon. So, but Jake, our team won Thursday night.
They did, yeah, and I watched it. Eventually, what a show! I'm now converted. I'm now replay. Completely. Yeah.
The American football.
Yeah, imagine that. I'm converted. The new guy picks the winner. Imagine that.
The best team. I'm God, aren't I? What else is going to happen?
Doom, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, Adam. Do you know what's even funnier? That last night when we did the podcast, England were playing an international football match with Ukraine. I didn't even bother watching it. I didn't even watch it, so it's just like I'm completely converted now.
Does Holland play for the English team or no?
No, with him not being English, Nathan. We have different countries where we live. Our continent isn't like yours, where you've just got your country and that's all that's in it. We have different countries in our continent.
No, we have 3 countries within 4 within our country. We have the United States. We have Alaska's basically its own country. Puerto Rico's not a state, but it's its own country. And we have Texas.
I was going to say Texas.
I got you, Leo. I got you. We saved the best for last.
What about Hawaii?
Nah, they're not their own country yet. They want to be, but they're not. We can't let them have those beautiful erupting islands back yet.
Surely they should be, though.
Shout out Johnny.
Yeah, Hawaii. There's a lot that should be. Yeah, shout out to Johnny.
Big shout out to Johnny.
I know he's not on that island.
He is on A Island.
Down there. He's on A Island. This is true.
You've been to Hawaii, Nate, haven't you?
Yeah, back in 2009, before the wife and I got married, we went right after I got back from Iraq. We went to Hawaii, to Big Island. That was awesome. We spent a week down there. It was so nice, man. And it's crazy because you talk to like the shop owners, even back then, and I'm sure before then, and I'm sure a lot of them have the same feelings now. They don't want people coming and visiting. They don't want to be a tourist attraction. You know what I mean? They just want, because tourists are assholes, especially American tourists.
American tourists are like akin to British football supporters who travel, about the same.
The hooligans.
Yeah. Just shout, take the clothes off and can't handle the beer. It's all exactly the same.
Starting fires in the stands.
But the Canadians can drink, which is mad. Because I've met loads of Canadians, and lots of Canadians, they can really, really drink. Australians can't drink.
They're polite about it.
Well, I heard that syrup, you know, that they pour that maple syrup, it dilutes it a little bit. So, you know, it's still potent, but it's like nice smooth finish there with that maple.
Yeah.
Definitely pouring something in them Canadians, I'm telling you, honestly. When we were climbing in China, so loads of Americans and loads of Canadians. The Canadians couldn't handle the booze. We could do. The Americans couldn't handle the booze. We could do okay, but the Canadians are pissed from like 6 a.m. till like, I don't know, midnight, 2 o'clock or whatever. And you see them the day after, and they're still pissed and going climbing and that. So, right, come on, we all go and play beer pong. And I'm like, oh, fuck off. Yeah, complete nutters, mate. Complete nutters.
Oh boy.
Anyway,
the show's not about us today, Jathan. It's about this guy.
The show is about. I'm gonna say it. A true collector. I had to put it in just to take the piss. We've got a true collector.
We have a true blue and true free here. Yeah.
we have got Mr. Obsession, as Doom says, an encyclopedia.
A little bit.
Little Doom
I'm a fan a little bit. I'm a little bit of a fan.
You know, Doom's got their own little private Discord, Instagram chat thing, right? Like you cannot be in. You don't get in unless you get invited by like the head Doom master.
You're gonna make Elusive feel a little type of way already. We just started, 7 minutes in, and Elusive's already scratching his head right now.
Like he can't. Is he part of the? He's not in the group.
He's not.
That's right. I remember that from the podcast that they did.
No,
one day he will be. One day he will, though.
You don't think he will? No, it's not going to happen.
Too many Hot Wheels. Too many Hot Wheels. You can't get in being a Hot Wheel collector.
It's like Elusive will stir up too much trouble.
Yeah,
there'll be too much ball busted. It'll be nice and quiet with all the Doom boys in there. Then Elusive turns in and he'll just fucking tear it up for whatever reason because he can't help himself.
I'm pretty sure Doom does have a Hot Wheel. I think it's like a milk truck or something. I think it's like a big white milk truck. It's like, I'm pretty sure. I think I'm not picking that up. Yeah.
Twisted Metal Doom Hot
Wheel. Why the fuck has he got a milk truck?
We're drinking coffee in unison over here.
Doom provides.
Fucking hell.
So clearly Doom collector. Free's clearly a Doom collector. It just, when I see his stuff on Instagram, it's just so much passion behind it too. So I like the history. I love that you threw out the true collector for him because that's a title that this guy down here definitely deserves. So
yeah, I was taking the piss though, because people. What I'm actually taking the piss out of in like tongue in cheek is like, I know, and Leo, tell us how long you've been seriously collecting like.
Yeah, so man, I'm a new collector. It's we can joke say I'm a true collector, yada yada, but really, I'm still a novice. I'm still like I tell Retro all the time. I'm not a guru. I'm not nothing. Just because my Instagram has a lot of posts, but. I really only started collecting comics in 2021. So it was April 2021. I actually bought my first comic book. I'm 28, so I didn't grow up with comics, unfortunately. A lot of people did kind of growing up. I wasn't exposed to it for whatever reason. I was, I guess, more into gaming, PlayStation, Xbox, all that stuff. But yeah, finally figured out the world of comic books. In 2021, I was always attracted to art. I was always somewhat of an artist, somewhat into the art world. Went to the high art. You learn about it in high school. And then I even had a college course about art, learning art history, the greats, all the greats, Michelangelo, yada, yada. But it was cool to find a hobby that was consistently putting out art in the form of comic covers, comic interiors. So once I figured it out that there's like variant covers to comic books to where you could have 5 covers for one comic by different artists, that basically sent me down the rabbit hole of figuring out the artists, figuring out the decades of the arts, figuring out different ages of the comic book: silver age, gold, silver, golden, bronze, current. So it was really cool to just basically stumble upon a hobby that I had no knowledge over, and then just basically been dedicated my life as like one of the main hobbies for the last 2 years now. So
see, this is what I like, and this is why I had to say true collector, just to take the piss a bit, because there is no such thing as a true collector. If you enjoy the hobby, you enjoy the art, or you enjoy any hobby or card, you take that as far as you want to. And in my eyes, you as much as if you've got 4 slabs, you're as much as a collector as I am, or Leo is, or Nathan is. If you like those 4 slabs, it makes zero difference. But what does impress me is just the knowledge you picked up, Leo, just over a couple of years. And I know it's a lot of it will be specialized knowledge, won't it, into what you're into. Obviously, because you've not been in it long enough, you're not going to go know tons about, let's say, Star Wars comics, are you? Or tons about indie comics, or this, that, the other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I can't tell you how many girlfriends Logan has had, man. I wish I could, but I know he's had plenty. But I can't name you all the bodies Logan's got. But
all you need to do is go to Utah, and Logan's had about the same amount as they've all had wives. Do they still have lots of wives in Utah, Nathan?
You're already doing the Mormon jokes? Jesus.
Just asking. Well, you are a Mormon minister, aren't
Joseph Smith, unbelievable.
I thought he was a Mormon minister, Nathan, no? I'm kidding, yeah, I'm only joking. So, I mean, I know, but well, I don't know this one actually. Did you get into Blade or Doom first? Blade, obviously, I'm guessing.
Well, in comics, it was Doom. It was Doom. So, my first comic books I ever got was from a video game. There's a video game that's been in the out there for 5 years, and it's called Fortnite. You might have heard of it, for good or for worse. It's mostly, kind of targeted to little kids because it has, shiny colors. It has like kind of happy-go-lucky characters on a colorful map that you run around. It's a shoot 'em up, so it's a shoot 'em up game. You go, you fight 100 other players. So they drop 100 players onto one map and basically say the strongest survive. So only one player or only one team can win out of those 100 players. So I've been playing that game religiously for the last 3 years up until that point, and then they basically came out with a comic book with DC with Batman. So they did a Batman collaboration. Fortnite did a collaboration with Batman in 2021, and that's what my first comic book was. So once I called everybody. So for the first time ever, I opened up the phone book. Not really, just opened up Google and searched comic book shops. Dallas. That's where I'm from. I'm Dallas, Texas area. So there's dozens of shops. So luckily, I was blessed to be in a major city / state that had enough shops around it. So I called everybody that day, the next day after it released. So I called everybody and said, "Hey, do you have this Fortnite comic? Do you have this Fortnite comic?" Everybody's like, "We sold out. We sold out." Oh, this 10 8-year-olds just walked in. They just took up all the comics, because the reasons why it sold out so quickly is because they were including video game assets such as like character skins and outfits you could wear in the game from the comic book. So all the comic books came polybagged, sealed, because they had codes in them. So that was the big craze. Shops, not all shops were hip to what this was going to be, the kind of spark in the bottle that it was going to be, because when you think about it, 99% of comic readers, what are they? Middle-aged men that don't necessarily play video games every day. I mean, you would think they would, but not this game in specifically. This game is a very kind of modern new game that mostly kids play. So I called everybody. Almost no one had it. Like, 9 out of 10 shops didn't have it. They sold out instantly that first day, which was the day before I called. And then finally, one shop picked up, and he said, "Oh, you're in luck. I have a few copies." So it took me and my one of my two best friends, because they played the game too. So we went to go pick it up. Sure enough, he had it. He marked it up, cover price like 3x. So it was already like a $17 sticker on a on a $5 book. But I had no idea. That was my first comic ever. So I was like, whatever it takes, I'm going to pay it. I don't mind, because we had to drive, 30 minutes just to get there anyway. So we got that comic. But long story short, of Doom of Blade. So basically that starts. So then you begin to learn about what's called the back issues. Back issues are comic books that came out back then in the past, meaning anything that's not current. So if you go to any comic shop, they'll have the current issues, everything that's coming out on a week-by-week basis. But if you're lucky, it's a shop that also has back issues, which means they could have comic books from the 90s, from the 80s, from the 70s, 60s. Those are the real fun comic shops to browse. So the comic shop I was picking up a lot of these Fortnite books from, that's when I would go to the $2 bins. I would go to the $2 bins because they were cheap. I didn't want to dive in headfirst buying I didn't know what a CGC's 9.8s are. I just looked at the stickers and it said $1,000. I was like, okay, I'm not buying that. That's ridiculous. Why would I ever spend that much on a book? So went straight to the $2 bins. And what do you know? Some of the first bins I'm flipping through, I'm going to the E's, A, B, C, D's, go to the D's, and I see this shiny Doom book. It's called Doom 2099, and it's one of those 90s comics that have like a silver foiling all around the edge.
Super cover, isn't it?
It's just eye-catching. It's super eye-catching. I somewhat vaguely knew who Doom was, because I've been a lifelong fan of this one rapper. There's a rapper called MF Doom. He's now since passed away recently, but this rapper called MF Doom took over the moniker, from Dr. Doom. He even has a silver mask, just like Dr. Doom, and he actually uses Dr. Doom's voice samples from some of the old Fantastic Four and Amazing Spider-Man cartoons from like the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. So he would put sparses of Dr. Doom into his music, into his album covers, into his own character persona, into his lyrics. So browsing through those $2 bins was actually the first way I found out about Dr. Doom in the comics, because I was able to grab a handful of Dr. Doom comics for the very first time browsing those back issue bins. So basically, it was an instant kind of fascination with that character when I was finding out about those old school Doom books.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
Go ahead, Jathan.
Oh, I'm just saying that's nuts that you came from MF Doom to Doom comic books, isn't it? That's just like, I mean, when MF Doom did that, it was nuts, wasn't it?
Man,
I mean, that was crazy. But it's just like you come from that to comic books, which is just like Jesus.
Couldn't ask for a better transition, just because like it's somewhat of an underground rapper anyway, so it's not going to be like someone that you would have heard on the radio. It's not like a John Roll or 50 Cent. It's not like he doesn't have he's not a Kanye West. He doesn't have the #1 Billboard charts or anything. So it's basically you would have had to kind of be into somewhat of an underground rap scene to know about him. But he's what's called a cult classic. So basically, he actually has a title, and it's called your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. So meaning, even though you might not know about him, is a high chance that the rappers you look up to actually look up to this guy. So there's like some type of like a hierarchy and kind of a mythical status from his music, even way before he passed, that he was never in the spotlight, but somehow still remained to be in a top legendary cult status of skill. So to answer Ash Gonzalez's question, he said, was I able to get the Dr. Doom skin during the Marvel season of Fortnite? And I'm so happy and thankful and blessed to have unlocked not only Dr. Doom, but his silver skin, his God Emperor skin, his silver skin, gold skin, and he actually has a holographic foil, rainbow holographic foil skin that you had to play. You had to spend your life on that game just to get those holographic
I remember
levels.
them coming out.
So I was so happy and lucky. I don't know. I probably wouldn't be here if I didn't get that skin. I don't know.
Brittany asked if you could throw out the name again. She walked out and missed the name when you guys were talking underground there.
Yeah, it was just it's a
MF Doom.
It's a rapper called MF Doom. So all capital letters, MF space Doom. And he's a character that
you'll know him because he's got like half a Doom mask on, and
he looks like Dr. Doom.
He might be Mexican. He might be Mexican, Leo, might
he? Well, what's funny about MF Doom is just like Dr. Doom. So if anyone doesn't know in the chat and never read any Dr. Doom comics, Dr. Doom is infamous. He's infamous for sending out Doom bots. So that's the rapper on the screen. Yeah, so that's the rapper on the screen. So let's say Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four is where the character Dr. Doom originated from. Here's an example. So let me share the screen really quickly. Yeah. How do I add a camera?
If you click on the present button at the bottom, it should give you extra camera option.
Present. Okay.
This is what I'm excited for. Leo's collection. We bear in mind 2 years, collecting for 2 years, and then some of the stuff.
All I see right now is it says present slides, video file, share screen.
So you don't have the extra camera option. Yeah, so you'll have to log in with that link to bring up the extra camera then.
Which link?
The one that we sent for you to join here. You'll have to join on your phone or your on another browser. Is the camera already hooked up to your computer?
Mm-hmm.
So then you can just change your camera in the settings. So if you go to settings, and then for camera, just select the camera that you want to show right now.
Okay.
And then you'll change it back when you're done. There you go. Yep. Let me get you here and here. There you go.
So you may recognize this card. This is speaking of Marvel.
What set's that from, Jake? That's from that one that everybody's been talking about lately, right?
I can't possibly mention it. I'm under a DNA.
A DNA? You're under a DNA?
An A&D. I don't know really.
The Battle Spectrum.
I'm joking.
So Dan said this one was like one of the last cards he was able to create because he got the clearance like right towards the end of the creation process.
So, but the reason I bring it up is because of this story on the back. So if you read this card, I wonder if I can get this to focus. Okay, there it is.
There you go. Oh, yeah, that's great.
It says, "Fool, you think you can defeat Dr. Doom so easily?" Ben Grimm walloped Dr. Doom only to find he had been fighting nothing but a robot. Doom was in a hidden room above the Fantastic Four where he pressed a button to drain away their oxygen. So this little snippet tells you that Ben Grimm, the Thing, the big orange clay guy, he had been fighting Dr. Doom, but later to realize he was only fighting a robot. So something that Dr. Doom has been infamously known for in his career is sending out AI Doombots of himself. Long before AI of today and the big scare, Doom was a master at creating his own machine. Yeah. He's a master at making replicas of himself, basically having huge battles with dialogue where he would basically take the mind of these robots. He would inject himself, in the minds of them. So it would basically be like you're talking to him, you're fighting to him, but then you pop off his head with a good punch, but then you realize, oh, it's just wires. It's not the real person. So all that to say, to tying it back, MF Doom did the same exact thing. What he would do is he would actually send fake MF Doom bots to perform concerts in his behalf. Because think about it, like you said, Jake, you don't know if it could be a Mexican dude up there with a mask.
I always thought it was Mexican. I just thought it was Mexican. I thought when I first got him years ago. I just thought it was. Yeah.
He would just find another, not Mexican, but like another black dude, and they just put a mask on him, and then have him rap his back lyrics on the track. But this is actually very controversial, as you could imagine, because think about it. You're paying, let's say you pay $50 for a ticket. You spend, you're waiting your whole year to go see this rapper. And then you go, and then later finds out it's just a Doom bot. Like, it's not even the real MF Doom. So that's what I was saying about, like, it's funny that these two, the rapper and the character, have so much in common that, to me, it was just a super seamless transition that I couldn't ask for any better one.
Nice.
That's like turning onto True Blues YouTube channel and finding that I popped up on it. It's just, well, what's next? Let's see what's happened. Oh no, he's there. Oh no, well, he's turned up again.
Yeah, this guy again. No, when we first moved to Utah, I loved going through the comic book bins, but it was weird. Like, there was this chain of shops called Dragon's Keep. Like, I think it was like 4, like a 20-minute stretch of each other, like all up and down the valley. And you'd go to one, and it would be completely disorganized, and you'd have to spend 4, 5, 6 hours there going through all the different boxes of cards, the file cabinets full of comic books and stuff like that. And then you go to another, and it'd be all alphabetical, like they had it sorted. Mm-hmm. My daughter went with me one time to the one that was closest to us. We spent probably 6 hours going through all their boxes, and she's like, "Yep, not doing that again."
Yeah.
So she was done with it. I think we walked away with like 3 books in total. She's like, 6 hours for 3 books, Dad. Seriously, just money.
It's a painstaking process. Like, some shops, you'll have to be on your knees. You'll have to bend over. Mm-hmm. You'll have to, like, dude, your back starts hurting just from, like, because you're having to arch over, like, and bend over and trying to get these boxes. Then, dude, it's a painstaking process. Like, it's mind-boggling how unorganized some shops are, because you just walk in and you're like, guys, this is your job. Like, imagine if you went into Walmart and, the toys were where the food is, and then the food was in, where the toys are. It's like everything was disorganized. Nothing would get done. You wouldn't be able to find what you need. So same way with comic book shops. Like, you would think that they would have their stuff together, but that's not always the case. And they don't. That adds up to the hunt, though. It does add up, even though, let's say you're taking 6 hours, like you said, if those 3 books end out turning to be gems, then, it could end up being worth it. Not every time, but that does add to the story about finding some books.
That's the worst one, when it's like you're asking for something and they've all got big stacks of long boxes up like 2 meters high, and then they've got comics on the bottom up to your waist.
Yeah.
And then you're like, "Oh, have you got any Marvel Presents?" And like, "Yeah, just over there." And you've got to be like a contortionist. You've got to be like Mr. Fantastic. You can't stretch around things. And they said, "Oh, there's only a few in it," and you get your hands on this long box, and you're pulling it, and you're thinking, "It's getting longer. This box. This box is getting longer," and you're like that, trying to carry it, you're going down the arm. Must be loads of injuries in comic book shops. Ambulances pulling up outside and that. Now, what have you done, sir? Yeah, I pulled me back out, pulling a comic book out. No, a lot of them are going to, like, really unorganized, and I kind of don't mind in a way. I know it's shit, but in some ways I just think, yeah, but I might find something that I want that it just gives it more of a hunt for me. I never do. The odd time I have done, but not generally. But yeah, organize your shops, people.
And in a way, it's good to find things that have been sitting for a long time, because potentially, like in Texas, it gets so hot. So basically what happens in like every Texas shop is that you'll find books that have been sitting for 20 years and they're perfectly already heat pressed. They're basically like you've been put in a press because they're sitting in a short box or a long box, and they're just cooking every summer, and, like, in the sun. So it's a perfect, like, clean and press when you just ripped out of it. Like, sure, the bag will be yellow, but you just take that old bag off and it's like a perfectly, like, mint condition pressed book. It's hilarious.
So you do a lot of grading with your books, right? You don't keep too many raw ones.
Oh no,
Don't
not at
mention
all.
grade.
No,
Don't mention. Oh no! Don't mention grading, mate.
Well, he's got the
Jesus.
what
graded
gave
book
you
in the
that idea?
background here. So.
Oh no! Don't start him off. We'll have Sergio on next as well.
No, it's actually the opposite, Nathan.
Opposite. Okay.
Basically, so in the span of 2 years, I have somehow amassed a collection of over 2,000 comic books. So out of
Wow.
those 2,000 comic books, I only have about, I think, around 20 slabs, a little less than 20 slabs. So I've never sent in a book for grading. I've never sent any cards in for grading, and I don't plan on ever doing that anytime soon. The type of collector I am is a raw collector for the most part. A lot of the graded books I do have, half of them I would say only existed as a sole pop in a graded form, meaning there is no raw versions of that book for whatever reason. It's just a rare book, or it's like a pop one that one person decided to grade and you just can't find any raw. So yeah, to answer the question, I'm actually a raw collector. I actually just, well, for one, it's the way to save money, because imagine if you try to buy 2,000 graded books. So
yeah,
just keeping it cost effective with keeping them raw, but also that's how I like to dig. You know, when you're digging in short boxes, they're not going to be graded BCW all bins. They're going to be, you go to comic book shop, they're just all raw. So that's where I've gotten, 85% of my books I've gotten in person, hunting at comic book shops, at conventions, and therefore, yes, majority of them are raw. I don't need to have everything in a 9.8, but it is nice. It is nice to have certain books in 9.8, which I'll make certain exceptions for.
So do you go back and just read through the books when you want?
Yeah, that's the best part. That's the best part, man. Like, people always ask me, like, have you read this? Have you read that? Well, when you're hunting so heavily, like I have over the last 2 years, you have a backlog. So actually, no, I'd be lying if I said I've read all 2,000 books. There's just not enough time. There's not enough energy. There's not enough, time to do all that. But it is fun to have them all raw. Therefore, you can always use a book as intended. Like it's like Retro saying, we don't want to get too into this, just because that's all I talk about. I just talk about keeping some raw, because cards are great. Graded card, 100%. I don't have any problems with that. It's a card. It just has one page, a back and a front and back page. A book has a front page, back page. Oh, but you can't forget it has 32 pages on the inside, or 26 pages on the inside. Therefore, to me, when you grade a book, it bricks it and it makes it unfunctional and defeating its purpose. So when it comes to grading books, I don't have a problem grading like variant covers, or like certain covers, because you're buying it for the cover. Now, if it's like a Silver Age book, if it's just a normal book that should be read or has a great story, that's where I think it's like you're defeating the purpose of the series. The series wasn't meant, to just be looked at. It was meant to be read. And when you only have graded copies of that, you can't do what it's meant for. So yeah, that's my whole thing about it.
No, it makes perfect sense. I kind of do that a little bit too. Like I think I have like 5 graded books, maybe 4, and then the rest of my stuff is all raw. What do you do for yourself for storage? I know obviously everybody knows about the cardboard log boxes, but is that your primary storage, or do you upgrade that with your big collection to like the hard plastic, like BCW style containers?
So right now, I just have, for the most part, I have just the normal cardboard long boxes. Long boxes, short boxes. Marvel's been coming out recently with a lot of cool, Marvel and DC have been coming out with graphic boxes, to where like it's still kind of cardboard, but it's at least like have the comic graphics, and it has like the covers of the comic books on them. Like you could have a box by like Alex Ross, or you could have like, I have like a Blade box that just came out recently, so I can put all my Blade books in just one box, and it's still displayed. You could still display it, like you can put it behind you and put it on a shelf or something, and it actually looks really good rather than just a white box. So yeah, for the most part right now, just white boxes. But really what I want to get down the line is you can actually buy or build these like pull out drawers. Think of like a large cabinet, and that's how all the shops have, all the good shops, that you pull out the drawer and you could actually fit like 4 short boxes in one row, and you're just browsing like you're browsing through like a back issue bin at a comic shop. So that's eventually the goal, is to get like a cabinet that have pull out drawers that you can fit short boxes in. That way you can keep it in a room and you just pull it out whenever you want to, instead of like what I do or what most people do, just, you know, your storage is a closet or something, or some type of small room to where it just kind of looks a little messy in the closet and stuff. But eventually, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to get a pull-out drawer cabinet situation.
What about the one touches, Leo? Do you use any of them for the comics? Do you display any comics on the wall?
I have. So right now, I just have like space, or I just have these things. Have these things right here. So I think they're called collector mounts, and so far that's all I have right now. But eventually, I'd probably like to get, you know, a wall of them. Say like maybe not here in the bedroom, but maybe somewhere else, to where you put a whole wall up. And
I keep trying to make Andrea let me put them over the TV. Because I've got my TV low, like a meter to the bottom of the TV, so I can sit on the couch and see it eye to eye. So I've got a big gap above, and I keep saying, just let me have a row of comic books across there. It says, well, you've got some in your office, like. I said, I know, but, you know, I could just have a row over there as well, just start taking over the house. But
because they do offer top loaders. They offer top loaders in comic books. So like an example would be like this. So like this I do have up on the wall. So if you don't want to buy a slab, you can still display your comics really well by using a top loader. It's just like a card top loader. You know, you could put it in the bag and board, and then slap it into this top loader. That way you give a little extra presentation. It's kind of like a clear frame. That's a COA.
Those help out a lot in like the boxes that aren't full yet too. I've noticed, like, and I got one box that's not quite full, and if the books tip one way or another, then that back book or two will kind of get a little bit of a bow in it.
Yeah.
From the weight of the other ones.
Yeah.
I was going to share this. All mine just lied flat in different boxes. But I probably got like 50 slabs and maybe like, I don't know, 150 comic books. Something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly
that's kind of what you were talking about with the collector mount, right?
That's exactly it. Yep. Oh, and then the way I have it up is you don't even have to drill any holes, man. What I learned from a comic book YouTuber is I use the command strips by 3M. So you just buy the command strips by 3M. And it's basically double-sided tape, but it lasts forever. Like, I've never had any of them fall down. You just stick it to the wall, and it's like a Velcro double straps tape. You stick it on the collector mount, and boom, now you have a perfect floating display. You don't necessarily need shelves. You don't need to drill in holes into your wall or anything, and they just stay up just fine. And that's a fun way to display them. But it's fun. Eventually, you know, I would want to have like a display room to where I just have maybe a whole wall or something, maybe like 30, 50 comics. That'd be nice. That'd be nice. You see that on YouTube a lot.
That's what I keep saying. That's what I keep saying I'm going to do. But I've got like 5 up here. I've shown them before. I've swapped the slabs out. But I've just got mine. Eventually, I'll do the whole wall. It's like 3 meters. I think I could do 3 shelves. But eventually, I'll do it. But all mine is in front of me because I don't want it at the back of me. Like, the same as with my cards. I've got cards in one touches, maybe, I don't know, 20 or 30. But nobody else ever sees them because I want to say, all I've got at the back of me is like drawing a Harrison and binders and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
I like to look at them.
That's like me in front of me on my front wall is actually my art. So I have original art on my front wall. So that's what I like to look at. It's just like what you said, like, it's something that you want, whatever you want is in front of you, like in front of your desk or your office. That's exactly, you always have to have something in front of you. Like, that's more important than the back, because the back is like, sure, that's just for everybody else. That's just showing off. Like right now, I don't have anything, but I do need to hang up this dope Doom poster that actually Doom Card gave me. It's this giant, like 2 foot by 3 foot Dr. Doom by Jack Kirby. It's a classic like poster I think Mondo did. So that's what I'm going to probably put back there, is like this giant Dr. Doom poster. Yeah.
I like how you guys like, I like how Leo's like, I've got my art in front of me. Jake's like, my cards are in front of me. I'm like, my wife's desk is in front of me.
Oh, wait a minute. Andrew came, I walked in before And Andrea, I don't know whether you have. It's called a maiden. You know what? You put clothes on like the wire rack thing.
Yeah.
And I walked in, and that was in here, and I'm like, whoa! Like, what? You need to get that baby out of here.
She's relocating you.
Yeah. Said, what do you think you're doing? I'm lazy though, so I've still got like. Remember when they opened the Batman things at MentalCon? They're still in front of me. I've still got the Incredible Hulk cards that we ripped for MentalCon.
That was actually fun. I loved watching you rip that one.
How good are those?
Those are awesome.
Yeah, they're so. I wish they would do comic covers like these again. They're just really, really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is just what I'm picking up out of my hand. They're not particularly the best, maybe.
Yeah, I remember when Vic opened his box. That was such a fun set.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love it. I'm gonna buy some. Well, me and Gingy, I've got a couple of boxes between us that we haven't opened, but I think I might buy another one or two because it's such a cool set.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of my newer books from the EPAC through their Collect Forever website, and then you ship them home. I think they're like $4.99 most of the time, but you have a pack pull rate essentially of trying to hit a variant cover as well. But when you ship them home, they come in that it's essentially like the inner plastic sleeve that goes inside like the graded slabs. They come in those, but it has all your information at the top of it, which is really cool. It also gives some rigidity to the book too. But the downside is you got to cut it open to read it. You know, I wish when you bought books like that online, that
you could just
copy. That you got like a digital copy to read. That way you could keep it closed. But
yeah, but that's what I always like wished graded books had. Like, I get it; it completely defeats the purpose. Say if you had a CGC 9.8, but you were able to like open the hinge, but then it's like that would completely defeat the purpose of grading it, because the whole point of grading is it should never be touched again because it's encapsulated. But I do wish that there was a lot easier ways to like that. If companies could offer, hey, this is this grade at this date, we can't guarantee that, you know, once you tamper, it's like a tamper device. They could add it to where it would completely take the values out. But I say go for it, because I'd rather have the option to do that than not.
What they could do, Leo, is just get a big rubber stamp and just stamp 9.8 on every page when you read it, and there you go. Serial number on it. There you go. Oh, it's a 9.8.
We'll take apart your book and you'll get a flippable slab that then you can open. It's all the pages are just opened up, and it's just a flippable slab.
Yeah.
No, there's some books I think.
No, carry on.
I was gonna say there's some books that I think make sense. Like you get those super old books, like the Golden Age books. I think that makes sense because you're protecting those pages from falling apart. You know, modern books, I don't think it makes any sort of sense with those. Even if you're getting them right off the shelf, I mean, there's no guarantee you're getting 9/8 on them, just because of the way the shops handle them nowadays.
But at the same time, on the flip side, it's like, then it's not impressive if you can 9/8 a modern book at the same time, because it's like you should be able to find a few copies, like you said, even if you can't, if they're not all, like it's going to be really easy to try to find, you know, one out of the 5 that your shop will have to be a 9/8 at least, hopefully.
I mean, you look at how many you had mentioned variant covers earlier, and I was going to ask you your thoughts on that. Like, you get some of these books. I think it was Amazing Spider-Man 26, the one with the death of Miss Marvel recently, that it had a ridiculous number of variant covers and rare covers that were part of that print. Like, how do you, when you see books like that, how do you, as somebody that collects books, decide what to go after?
If it has Dr. Doom on the cover, I'm going after it. No, I'm just kidding.
is that all you go after though? Like, as far as like series and stuff like that, is there modern series that you
this is
follow?
Such an expensive hobby. I follow, you know, I think I follow almost 2,000 accounts on Instagram. So a lot of those are artists. A lot of those are creators, you know, artists, writers. But a lot of them are comic book collectors. And there's certain comic book collectors out there that quite literally buy 50 books every Wednesday when books come out every week. Now, that is the best way to read comic books, is in hand and physical. It's a part of the process where you go to the shop, pick it
Most
up.
enjoyable way,
Funnest, the
right?
most enjoyable way. It's the most enjoyable kind of authentic way to do it, old school way to do it. But that adds up. Say every book's $5 and you're buying 20 of them. Well, that's already $100 every week. That's $400 a month. Even if I was a heavy comic book reader, which I'm not, unfortunately, I don't read every series that comes out from Marvel or DC or even indie. I do read a couple that I have pull listed, but mainly only due to cost reasons. I've never been much of a pull list guy. I started a little bit, but once I got into certain cards or certain comics, and then eventually original art, I simply had not enough funds to be a pull list guy, because it just adds up. When you want to have a focus, when you have a focus like I do on certain characters like Doom or Blade, I basically run, jump, and leap to that first before I think about adding to my pull list. And it does separate. It's very kind of divisive, because there's a lot of Instagram out there that say, like, read your comic books, because all they focus on is back issues from the 80s, 90s, 70s. That's all they stopped. They don't even read the new comics. So at the same time, it's like, okay, you might call yourself a collector, but you're not actually reading comic books now. You're just reading the stuff that came out back then. So to me, there's always going to be a give or take of how much time and effort you can spend on something. You can't do it all. Just to answer your question, you can't do it all.
That's where something like the Marvel Unlimited is perfect for that, because it's like $5 a month or something like that, and you can read whatever books you want for the most part.
And that's what I call the real reader. The real reader is actually someone that does have all those reading apps and just reads everything, because that's like, even if it's not the most, like, quote unquote authentic or old school way to do it, that is the most cost efficient. That is the most like you said, more resourceful, because it's all available. And people always frown upon it. Apparently, you're not supposed to say it out loud or online, but there's ways to read comic books online. So there is other resources other than like Marvel Unlimited that you can find out there. And that's, I know I've used that before. I mean, I if you want to save money, if you're not buying original art, or if you're not buying the new card packs, you might have a lot more money to spend on the weekly comic books. But right now, for my main focus for the last 2 years has been finding what I want, and really limiting the pull list just for that reason. So I have enough money to get the things that I want. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you do need a lot. You do need, I mean, people go on about cards and that, the money you need in cards, but once you get into comics, it's just, it's never ending, isn't it? You would never ever be, if you treated comics like people treat cards, you'd have no chance, would you? Because it's just so vast and it gets so expensive that it's near on impossible, isn't it? It's just completely new. And that's why I love comic books, even just looking at covers, and then we see people's posts like Leo's. I mean, Johnny Bravo always does some great ones about his as well. Sergio does some great ones. Doom. There's a lot of people who Leo and Sergio put me onto and say, "Oh, look at this post and that post." And the comic community, like, you get full paragraphs. And Leo, you have tons of them, don't you?
Yeah,
Leo will give you like 4 or 5 pages in the complete history of a
the
comic book.
The way I approach my posts, a lot of people out there, and this is no slight or no hate or anything, but a vast majority of posts online, they'll post their card or they'll post their comic, and they'll say, and they might not even tell you what it is. A lot of the time, they just say, "Bam," boom, got them, or they're basically, it's like a flex, or it's like basically saying, "Hey, I got this shiny thing, or got this cool thing," but they give you no information. They give you, no year, no artist, and then now it's up to you just to scratch your head and just be jealous. For me, I'd much rather completely inform my audience. My biggest joy is seeing comments that say, "I never knew about this," or, "Oh, thank you for telling me about this. I'm going to look this artist up, or I'm going to look this series up," because I'd much rather give the people as much information. I'd rather overshare than undershare. Put it that way. I'd rather tell you exactly what it is, what the pack odds are, what year it came from, because I don't want to like gatekeep the information. The last thing I want to do is like gatekeep. So I'd rather be much more upfront about my items.
It's no fun, is it, finding out all the info and sharing it with yourself, or sharing it with like 3 people? It's like, I mean, every time I ask you about anything or we chat about anything, half the time you've got a link on your fucking Instagram anyway where you've told a story about stuff. And if you've not, you'll point me to somebody else who's told a story about something.
Yeah.
And then I get into it more and I love it. And I might spend 2 minutes, I might spend an hour, I might spend a day, depending, any given time, what my brain's at. And
because there's I see it all the time. There's a lot of Instagram accounts out there that they might not be able to grow their following. They might make a post and they'll get like 10 likes, 15 likes, 20 likes, and that's totally fine. But it's because they'll post a picture of their card or comic, but it's just like a dimly lit on their desk. There's no lighting, there's no zoom in, it's blurry. And sure, that works great for people because they just want to share it and then make a quick 1-sentence caption. But then they also at the same time, they're wondering why they're not growing or why they don't get a follower base or why they can't have more likes. But to me, I say try putting a little bit more effort in and more sharing. That way you can actually develop a following and develop a fan base that will basically, they'll stay on the look on your profile. They'll check in with you, maybe turn notifications on because they're looking forward to your next post. That's kind of how I've felt my channel to be, is I want people to go there to see something that they've maybe never seen before. Because I don't post every day. I don't. I sometimes go weeks or months without posting, but when there's certain thing that catches my eye that I feel like that does need to be shared, I'm gonna take a real good scan of it. I'm gonna do some editing. I'm gonna try to zoom in. I want to give the full presentation as clear as possible to basically make the viewers feel like they have it in their hand. That's what I want it to do. I want them to have the full presentation for it to be in their collection now. That's what my Instagram is. It's my collection, but it's for everybody now. It's not mine anymore. That's how I view my account.
So just posting a card like with a can of Strongbow at the back of it isn't. Is that what you're getting at, Leo? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I think he's taking shots at Sergio. He's telling Sergio to step his game up.
No. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that just post and then don't say anything, and it's just like.
No, I don't, because if I was trying to do that on my mobile, because I have Instagram on my laptop, but I don't make posts with it. I just do it on my mobile. And like, I'm lucky enough if I can string like 4 words together, because my fingers will hit the wrong thing and it'll spell something different. And I just think, my Instagram's just there for a laugh anyway, to make mates and that. So fair play to.
This is how in depth it goes, Jake. It's basically I use the Notes app on my iPhone. That's where I write everything. I write everything in the notes.
Right.
Make a huge list, and then you copy that. And once you have all your photos ready, you paste that into the post, and then you do your little edits and everything. That's what I do. So you write out a huge thing in like a Notes app on your phone. I don't know if you have an iPhone or Android, but there'll be a Notes
that's where
app.
That's where the guys with these massive hashtag lists do. They just save all that stuff there, so they'll got to keep copying it or typing it in every time.
Yeah.
Oh, what I could do is just ring Nate, say it verbally to Nate,
and then I
just
type
let
it
Nate
for you.
do it. Like all my other technology, what I do. You start ringing you up, Nate.
Get your lackeys.
I know. I'm going to start charging a fee.
I've just written this down while I was pissed. I wonder if you can just translate it. I wouldn't even have a clue what it says.
I'd have to pull up the Google Translator and be like, British English to American English.
Oh, here we go. No, fuck. I know what you're getting at. I know what you're doing now. Come on. Get it over and done with. No, I'm not biting. I know what's happening now.
I was listening to the last podcast that y'all just put out. I think was it yesterday?
Yeah,
that was, man. I was tearing me up. Inside.
It's all right. I've been thinking anyway. Right, Leo, you say for me letter.
Oh God, it already sounds wrong. It already sounds like I can't even hear it right. What you just said.
All right.
Just say I'm going to post a letter.
I'm going to post a letter.
See, letter.
Letter. No, not
L-E-D-D-E-R. It isn't spelled L-E-D-D-E-R.
It says letter.
Letter.
He says
letter. It said letter. You said letter. You said letter.
You say letter.
I don't say letter. I say letter.
So your ears.
L-E-T-T. No, but he said D. Letter. You all say letter.
This is what I knew was coming. This is what I knew that was coming.
Letter. I do say letter.
No, yeah. Or
I say letter.
I don't know.
Letter.
Say Tom.
Letter.
Say Tom. Tom. What was that?
Tom.
No, say it properly. Tom. You say Tom with an A.
Tom.
Say I want to plant a bomb. Say that.
Sorry.
We can't say that online. Oh no, that's in an airport. That's in an airport. You can't say that in an airport. Yeah.
You can't say that in an airport, train, or bus.
Yeah.
So fuck off with your accents.
Say Haman.
Hamon. No, all right. Say Hamon. Don't say Hamon.
He said he wasn't going to do it. He said, I'm not going to say it at all during the stream.
I've done it for Leo. I've just said it for Leo.
Yeah.
It's not easy trying to learn Spanish.
Now say it how you type it.
No, leave me alone. Stop bullying me. You lot can't speak properly anyway.
You started it.
No, Nathan, there was one day where I was chatting with Jake and I don't know how it got onto the topic, but I was like, man, I really need like a breakdown of all the English accents, because Jake's always saying about how like there's different, like just from city to city, or apparently block to block, and county to county, there's different dialects of English, Irish, all that. And one day he just sent me, I was like, I wonder if there's YouTube videos about it. And he just sent me like 10 YouTube videos of just the different dialogues. It was such an interesting thing going over all the dialects. It was basically like going through a mini college course that Jake put me through just to learn what they were saying.
They called Discord one day. He's like, oh, I'm Wigan. I speak Wigan. So we looked up Wigan and we sent over like the link for the Wigan translator.
I thought he was messing with me. I thought he was just saying some random stuff.
Crazy,
it was
how
legit
many dialects they have. It's kind of like here, though. We have all these, like we have Will over in New York. They got the New York accents, and then you have Florida kind of has its own accent. Plus South Carolina and Georgia, they have theirs. Texas has its own. The Midwest, you get Michigan has one, like Southern Wisconsin. But then you get to like Northern Michigan, the Upper Peninsula, Northern Minnesota. You get like a Canadian, Northern Minnesota, and then you get the Canadian accent. It just ties in right there.
There's Boston, it's weird, the New York.
It's weird though, because like people I've talked to from like North Dakota don't have as strong of like a Canadian accent as like the people from Minnesota. Mm-hmm. We're kind of the same way. We're just spread out a little bit more than what they are. They're so consolidated there. You went to take a leak, by the way, just so everybody in the chat knows.
Yeah, but one day when it was one of your podcasts, maybe like 5 or 6 podcasts ago, Jake, he said Hammond, and I knew exactly what he said. I knew what he was talking about. He was talking about ham, pork ham, all that.
Yeah.
And I had to replay it. I literally was in the car I was driving. I had to replay it. I had to rewind 30 seconds just to make sure I heard what I heard. And just to hear him, the way he said Hamon is how he said it in Spanish. I was like, I can't believe he just said that. I messaged our group chat, the Mexican Mafia group chat, and I was like, guys, did you just hear Jake say Hammond? I was like, I just died. I just lost it.
Oh, you know, as an honorary member, he's kind of bitter about not being in the group chat. I'm sure of it. That's how he is. I mean, he's not gonna say it outright, but he's a little bit.
I feel bad. I do feel bad about that.
Nah. He always tries to claim the fame of starting the Mexican Mafia, and then now he's not included.
he's like the boss. He's like the drug lord. He's like the kingpin. He's just overarching us, and he's like,
I just told him, nah, man, you're just the guy that goes and gets the sandwiches for the mafia bosses. Yeah, but Leo, what's like as the Doom collector? How many other things besides Doom are you collecting comic book wise?
You mean okay? So
because I mean, there's not 2,000 Doom books out there, right?
There's almost 1,000.
Wow.
So out of my collection of 2,000 books, and I can check my
before you go into the numbers.
Yeah.
How crazy are you on the Doom collecting? Like, are you collecting Doom because he has like part of his hand is on the book or in the page? He's mentioned in the book. Is that what you're collecting Doom wise, or are you like straight up? It's a Doom book.
For the first year and a half, it was every single book that had Doom on the cover. So it was every book that I ever saw with Doom on it, going all the way back from the 60s. His first book, he came out in like 62, I believe, 62 or 63 with FF5. So I browsed all my shops and got every single cover he was in. Nowadays, if you look at my CLZ app, is the app I use to catalog all my books. It's a great app called CLZ, and it has basically every single comic book in a registry that you can add and browse and add to your collection. So if you look, I have 857 books in my Dr. Doom collection right now. And those are just covers. So those are covers. Those aren't even books that he is only in the interior are in. So there are some books in my collection that I don't have listed in this category because he's not in the cover. So these are just simply cover appearances from that. If you go down the list, I have 279 Marvel books. I have 250 Blade books. I have 200 indie books. And then the rest of my collection is small, but it follows artists. So to answer your question, I have a lot of artists from Ben Dunn. He's a kind of an anime manga artist that did the Marvel Mangaverse. And then there's another artist called Jim Mahfood. He's done a lot of covers and series. He's another indie artist. So that's what my collection consists of. It is Doom, Blade, and a lot of indie artists that I'll follow. But yeah, in terms of series, it's kind of random. Like I'll have some Spawns. I'll have there was a series called Department of Truth that I collected a lot. A lot of the bad ideas.
Department of Truth, that's a great. I mean, I haven't read it, but every time we go in the comic book shop, the guy in there just shows me all the latest. They're only quarterly as well, aren't they? I think Department of Truth.
They were once a month for a while. They were once a month. They slowed down. They're about to start a new arc, I think, but they're at like 19 issues or 20 issues or something like that. But it was a perfect series. It was a perfect series for me because I was into the whole. I'm into the whole like conspiracy theory world. So to see that book talking about all the conspiracies, I was just immediately intrigued for it. And then the art style was really kind of dark and gritty and kind of messy. It turned off a lot of people, but it was actually exactly kind of what I was looking for. Something new, fresh, and gritty. Something that you couldn't get necessarily in certain Marvel or DC titles. So that's the type of stuff I'm into. I'm into like certain things that might not even be Marvel or DC. It could just be random indie books that stretches the potential of art and what can and cannot be included into that.
I think, well, I always thought the art in that Department of Truth, I always thought it was just next level.
Mm-hmm.
When you see it, you just think like, oh my God, it's like, how long have they spent doing these panels? And shout out to Mental Con artist Joseph Reed, because he's got 3 variant covers, I think, for the Department of Truth.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Which is great.
The interior artist, Martin Simmons, he was actually at Dallas Fan Expo this year. But I was going to get a commission from him. That was my number one goal, was to get a commission from the interior artist of Department of Truth. But that had happened. That convention happened right after I purchased my biggest original art acquisition, and I was flat broke. I was tapped out. There was zero chance I was going to go to that convention this year because I would have just been a fly on the wall or just been looking. There wouldn't have been anything for me to buy. and I just skipped it because I was like, man, I've already spent so much. I'm not going to go to be tempted. If I go, I'm going to want something. So it was just my time to just chill this year on conventions because of how much I spent in original art over the last beginning of this year.
And this is what I'm excited to get into, Leo. Yeah. What have you got? Shall we go back to the Fortnite? Have you got some Fortnite books you'd like to show us, or have you got
Yeah. I do want to talk about those books. What was our time frame here today, you think?
Till we stop.
Okay.
Depends out. Well, can you see the cans at the side of me there? Once I've drank all
Once
them,
those are gone.
I reckon we've got that time frame, Leo.
You guys can't see that there's 2 more levels to that stack.
All right, so so Jake, I did tell you that my buddy was on that podcast. He did show up. He did show up to the podcast on Friday. Yeah. It was awesome. He gave the whole breakdown, and so to switch gears a little bit, everyone watching, we're going to talk about this certain. We're going to talk about this certain Fortnite book. Are you guys ready for this story? It's so long.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's kind of in depth, but
no, that's what we got.
The first,
we didn't get you here for the Fortnite story, but it's just happened to come about. So tell us. Yeah,
the first comic book I ever bought was a Fortnite comic. We mentioned that earlier. That there's a series called Batman Fortnite 0 Point. 0 Point is a certain energy device. It's a certain portal in the lore in the story of Fortnite to where it's an orb. It's an orb. It's like a black hole that is the gateway or portal to every dimension. And this is kind of Fortnite's excuse for bringing in all the tie-ins. If everyone doesn't know listening, Fortnite's a video game, but they also have tie-ins from Transformers. Now they have the Marvel characters in their game. They have DC characters in their game. They have anything you can name. Like Terminator was in it. Ghostbusters are in it. They're basically the biggest like tie-in game to where they're bringing in all these IPs as playable characters and weapons and everything. So they did the Batman crossover. That had 6 issues. The Batman Fortnite had 6 issues. After the 6 issues were over, it had a one-shot. What a one-shot is in comics are a standalone book. It's basically a one-off. So after the 6 issues, they came out with this book called Batman Fortnite Foundation. The Foundation book was the bookend, was the 7th book in the series. It was the last book. And it had 3 covers to it. It had 3 covers. It had the cover A. Cover A means the first cover. It just means the regular cover. It had a cover B, which is an alternate cover. Think of it as a parallel in cards. So in cards, you have, gold, orange, purple. In comics, it's kind of the same way. Instead of parallels, we have called variants. So cover B would be the variant cover. Now, it's not just a coloring foil. It's not just an orange color version of the cover A. It's actually a whole different cover art. It's a whole different card, per se. It's a whole different cover. And then they did have a cover C. The cover C was their premium 1-in-25 incentive ratio that you had to order 25 copies of A or B to get 1 copy of the cover C, making the cover C pretty rare. It's a pretty rare book. You can still find plenty of copies online, but a shop had to order 25 copies just to get one of those cover Cs. So we got that out the way. We got the 3 covers out the way from Batman Fortnite Foundation. Pretty attainable. They mass produced them. You can find them on eBay. But we're going back to before the book released. I have a buddy named Matt. He goes by AKA Bog. AKA Bog. He has a YouTube channel. He has an Instagram account. He actually live streams Fortnite gameplay where he gives away those codes we were talking about, the codes in the books where you can get free skins and free weapons. He actually gives those away to kids on his channel. Like he always puts them in every video. They can claim the codes. So he was reached out to by his buddy Dave. His buddy Dave reached out to him and said, "Hey, check this out." It was a Twitter post back when it was called Twitter, Now it's called something else. he sees this picture that the writer of the book was called Christos Gage. Christos Gage posted on Twitter 4 covers. Well, we just talked about how there was 3 covers, the A, B, and the C. There was a 4th cover, and it was a black and white edition. A lot of people will call the sketch edition a sketch cover because they just make it black and white version. It was before it got colored by the color artist. So basically it's just the pencils and pens and the inks. So they see this picture, and mind you, there is no bigger Fortnite comic book collectors in the world besides like us. There's no one that was as nerdy and as like just into Fortnite, the video game, before they were into like the comic collecting. Like us, we got every single cover. We got all the variants. We got all the incentives. We even got the 1 in 500 ratio where the shop had to order 500 copies of this certain one from issue.
Oh, right. Yeah.
From one of the issues. We got everything. So it was perplexing to see this cover that no one knew anything about.
Something you thought you missed, and just thought, exactly. Where's this come from? It's like, what, eh?
We wanted to know more, so Dave reached out to Matt. They reached out to the writer. The writer said he didn't know much about it. He said that he was given to him that book from DC, because if anyone's listening doesn't know, the way comic books work, and it's kind of like, it's a lot like cards. It's pretty much exactly like cards. Whenever a sketch artist does work for a set, they get APs, they get compensation for it. So it's, in the form of, in addition to their payments, they get extra copies of the work. They get extra cards that they can then sell to people to do work on. In comic books, they don't have AP cards or anything, sketch blanks, but what they do get is compensation copies of the comics they worked on. So they'll give them a box of 20, copies of their cover to say, here, yeah, we paid you, but here's a little bit of extra. That way you can take this to conventions. You can sign these for free, or sign them and give them to people. You can sell these books to your fans at conventions. Do anything you want with them. Just they're yours now. That's a cool thing that comic companies do. They'll give artists compensation books, comp copies. When they asked Christos Gage about it, he said it was included in his comp copies. DC had given him these books, had given him 8 books, even though there was only 3 covers. They gave him 8 covers. Yeah. So that was a mind-blowing revelation, because there was only ever 3 that was ever released. And when we heard that he was given 8 different covers, that was the head scratcher. And then because he made that post about one of the 5 that he had extra. So they did an investigation. They said, what can we do? How can we buy this from you? They're fiends, or they wanted access to this book that they've never seen before. They messaged him. He wasn't budging. But later, like a month later or so, he reached out to Dave and said, you know what? I'm a big Godzilla fan. He said, the writer, this is Christos Gage, the writer. He said, I collect Godzilla art. The writer collects Godzilla original art. He said, some things came up. I need to move some pieces. So I don't mind letting go some of these copies that your guys are looking for, to fund my original art, purchases. So that's exactly what happened. They were able to set up a deal with Christos Gage to get 3 out of his 5 extra copies. So those were the first 3 people. They split it with another friend. So those 3 people were the first and only people in the world to ever have access to this certain unreleased artist comp copy of a book, straight from the writer. And that was pretty special. That was something that, if you're in the Fortnite hobby, you immediately were looking at AKA Bog's YouTube channel and just amazement and awe. And you were just looking at a unicorn, something that shouldn't exist, something that didn't exist to the public. And you were just kind of forever hoping or searching for that book online. Go ahead.
Is there only one? Will there only be one copy of that cover, Leo? Did you find out the numbers, or does anyone know the numbers? Or
We'll talk. We'll get to that. We'll get to that point.
Yeah.
So, so where are we at? So they got the books. They actually had them graded. So Christos Gage actually signed them, and he sent them to them in the mail. So they actually have signed copies, and they decided to send them to CBCS because they didn't have Gage go through the trouble of sending them to CGC himself. He could have, and he still can. They can go take it to a convention, and then he can hand it to a CGC witness and say he just signed it, and pick a day and time or turn it in, because that's what people don't know. Artists can take any book they want and sign and send it into CGC because they have their creative rights to do so, to get a gold label. So they went through CBCS, the secondary company and the grading company. They got verified, obviously, because it's not hard to get a verification from CBCS. But that's their copies. So fast forward about 2 or 3 months later, and this is in 2022. So Dallas Fan Expo from last year pulls around the corner. And like I said, I didn't go this year, but I did go last year. I did go in 2022. I'm scrolling down the creator list, because you're always like, okay, what comic should I take? What should I get signed? What should I get commissioned by certain artists? That was actually a year Jim Lee was there. Jim Lee, the famous Jim Lee, was attending our Dallas Fan Expo that year. His line was nuts. His line was around the corner. They were waiting for him all day, and he was never at his booth. He didn't even show up. He did show up eventually at the end of the day, but he's one of those kind of, I don't know, they just take their time. They they don't really care about people's waiting forever.
You can imagine,
they're in the VIP. They're in the upper echelons where they're just eating their snacks. They're writers. They're doing their stuff, getting comfortable. But so I never got to meet Jim Lee, unfortunately. But I was scrolling down the creator list before I went, and I written down on my list, there's this guy on there named Joshua Hickson. So Joshua Hickson was one of the creators of this Batman Fortnite Foundation book. He was actually the interior artist of the book. So, of course, I was planning on stopping by his booth. I actually went to that convention. I got my first artist commission. I actually got a commission. My first, actually, that's a lie. That's not my first artist commission. My first big artist commission was by Jay Lee, not Jim Lee, but Jay Lee. He's a famous Marvel and DC artist. He's kind of has an abstract style. I got a Doom blank from him. Got a full body Doom, Dr. Doom. This book right here. So I got this book done. It's an original. It's original 1 of 1.
Oh God, that's cool, isn't it?
It has the Fantastic Four just laid out on the ground back there. So it's a wraparound.
That's nuts. Yeah, that's nuts, mate.
On the Secret Wars.
I love that it's a wraparound. That's so cool.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So this was my main goal. The main goal of that convention, I was going to get this, but the side quest was I was going to meet Joshua Hickson and check his booth out. So I go, I'm going around and walking around. I find his booth, and he's a cool guy. He's a real smooth dude. Just real kind of innocent guy. Talk to him, and the first thing I see on his desk, on his booth, was the Foundation books. He had the cover A, cover B. He just had them laid out on the table. But underneath those books, I saw a sliver of white. I saw some books, and I immediately had to ask. I was like, do you mind if I go through these books? And I picked up the books. I slid up the top books, and sure enough, what I'm looking at are the same black and white books that we just talked about. These mythical, one of a kind creator compensation books directly from DC, just sitting there. He had already taken them out the poly bag. He just took them out. He didn't know anything. They were already unpoly bagged, so they're just sitting there. He was selling his books for $5, so he was selling his. he was selling his books for just the normal books. He was selling the normal books for $5. But I said, well, how much are those? Because I saw 2 black and white books that he had. I said, well, how much are these? I said, what are those? I said, because it was still new to me at the time. We hadn't got to this level on that today. Yeah, I wasn't. I wanted to hear it from his perspective what these were, and he said, "Oh, he's like, what are those?" He's like, "I don't know." He's like, "I don't know what these are." He's like, I don't know." He's like, and I said, I think they could be rare. And he said, "Oh yeah." He's like, "Really?" He's like, "Oh, I don't know." He's like, "Maybe." And I said, "Well, how much?" I said, "Well, how much then?" He said, "Well," he said, "Oh, since you said that," he's like, "since they're rare, you know,
on 10.
I'll just take." He's like, "I'll just take $10 for those." So he marked them up. He marked them up 2x. So they're already 2x from the normal price. But this is where it gets kind of. But that's nothing because. So I paid. Oh, nice, Ash. I paid $20 for 2 copies of his black and whites. And that was one of the happiest days of my life. I actually had him sign them because why not? If you're at the booth, just get them signed. Like, I'm not a snob to where, a lot of people say you shouldn't get artist signatures, especially if you're not going to use CGC that day. But I'm a raw collector. I don't care about
why
company telling me what I have. I know what I have.
Story,
I know that I got
exactly,
these.
Yeah.
I know that I got these signed. I don't need a grader to witness it and verify it for me, because these are staying with me. These are staying with me. So I was able to luckily attain 2 of the creator compensation black and whites, and we can share the screen. Let me present this. Sorry.
Here we go. That's amazing that you just walked up and then it's just like, oh, what are these little white things here that are just hanging about?
And that was on the second day of the convention too. So this is probably why he didn't have all 5, because they're supposed to receive 5 different versions of this. So let me the focus. So there we go.
Yeah, that's good there.
So this is what you're looking at. So these are 2 versions of the same book. These are the infamous unreleased copy.
Amazing too.
So it's a Greg Capullo. Greg Capullo is one of the most famous modern artists you can ever ask for. He had very big fame with the Spawn series. He had certain Batmans. He had certain Marvel books that he was famous for. Basically, if you know who Todd McFarlane is, you know who Greg Capullo is. They're really close to each other. And these are sketch blanks. So the normal copy would have been colored. The normal copy is like a red cover, a red background, and it's fighting. So you actually see here it's Batman versus a Fortnite character called Foundation. That's why it's called Foundation. And then the big center focus is the Batman Who Laughs, which is he was also brought into this series to just cause a bunch of chaos. So I was lucky, and this is the artist signature of Joshua Hickson. If you can read at the bottom, there's a bunch of artists. There's a bunch of creators, as always, listed. Scott Snyder who is the creator of Batman Who Laughs. Christos Gage, who is the writer. Donald Muster, who is the creative director, creative chief officer of Epic Games and Fortnite, which I just mentioned to you guys. He sadly had down the position, so we'll talk a little bit about that maybe. But so he's the main storyboard artist of the Fortnite lore. He's the creator of the Fortnite comics. He does everything. Then next in line you have Joshua Hickson, which is the interior artist, and then Stevens, which I believe was the either inker or colorist. But so yeah, here are 2 of the copies. Now we'll take one out the bag. Let me just rip this.
So cool as well, Leo. Like even the story that like he didn't know they existed, and you're the hardcore fans, and then your mates manage to like get a few to get 3, and then you just stumble across the 2. Then I bet you couldn't just believe your luck, could you? When you asked, did you say in like how much are they? Or did you much are they? In a really squeaky, excitable voice, trying to hold it in.
Oh, dude, I was shaking. I was shaking like at that point.
Bet you were,
that.
Yeah.
So check out the backs. So the backs of them are kind of the similar image, same image, zoomed in. But if you read the backs, I'll zoom in a little bit. So if you read these backs of them, the backs of the covers, they say Greg Capullo and Jonathan Glapion variant cover. This back says Greg Capullo and Jonathan Glapion variant cover. But check this out. This says something different. The second one says something different. This one says Greg Capullo signed edition. And if you look, this one barcode is 00141. This barcode is 00181. So telling you these are unique variant editions. But what's this head scratcher is this says Greg Capullo signed edition. But if we remembered, there's only one signature on here, and it's Hickson because I got it signed from him. There is no Greg Capullo signature on this book. You're wondering why? Well, that's the whole essence of this book. There's not just 2 of these. These are just 2 out of the 5. There's actually 5 Batman Fortnite Foundation books out there. There's one trade dress. So this one has the trade dress, the blue trade dress that says Batman Fortnite Foundation. There's actually 4 different variant editions of the Virgin variant. This is one of them. On the backs of them, that's the only way to tell. There exists versions of the Virgin. Confusing, but there's example of this Virgin cover that doesn't say anyone had signed it. There's also 4 signatures versions of this book. This is the Greg Capullo signed edition. There exists the Zack Snyder signed edition. There exists the Donald Mustard signed edition, and there exists the Greg Capullo edition and the Donald Mustard signed edition. So if you were the most dedicated Fortnite fan, like maybe I am, and maybe AKA Matt or AKA Bog is, your basically life goal would be to achieve the rainbow of the Batman Fortnite Foundation unreleased variants, which 5 exist out of. I was lucky to get them from the interior artist. So fast forward, no one has seen any copies. We can assume
it is nuts that nobody's seen anything yet. There's still the rear of it, and they've done the barcode. And
some did surface. Some did surface. So there was copies that was posted to eBay. My friend Matt, in addition to his 1 copy he was get, because remember they got 3, they split it with 3 friends. He only had 1 at the time. Fast forward to today, he has 4 of them. He has 4 out of the 5. And he's only missing this one. He's only missing my the edition. And he trust me, he's tried to tempt me. He's tried to tempt me with trades and everything. And these are what I call like priceless books. But to put a price on it, these books have sold anywhere from $1,300 on the low end up to $2,500 on the high end for raws. There has been 9.8s listed for $6,500 that have basically sold privately, not online. But there has been verified sales of over $2,000 for 1 raw copy of this book. That's how, to give you a perspective of how sought after these books are in our Fortnite community that we have. It's a very small community, but they're diehards, just like anyone else. They want to once they figure out about something, they want to completionist it. They want to complete it. So there had been eBay sales from a seller, and they figured out, they interrogated the sellers and said, hey, how'd you get these books? What's the story to these? And sure enough, exactly like I found mine, they said, oh yeah, we went to but they went to San Diego Comic-Con. So they went to San Diego Comic-Con, and they were able to pry actually a few sets, like 2 sets from 2 of the creators there at San Diego Comic-Con. And those were immediately posted to eBay and snatched up like instantly. They were instantly sold as soon as they were posted every single time for thousands of dollars. And no one has seen them ever since. There is one guy on Instagram that keeps posting his for sale, but it's like 6,500 because it's like a 9.8. So so fast forward, and this is the controversial part. So this is the last part of the story, and then I'll share my screen. I'll just share my camera. All right, so there's a famous comic book collecting app. We're not gonna list the name of the app, but they had posted this book in their app, their collection app for everyone to see. The only problem was the reason why they posted it was because of the eBay listings that had sold. There was 3 of these books listed on eBay for over $2,000. I think it was either $2,300 or $2,500, and all 3 had sold with 1 bid. And you know how Marvel cards work. When we see something like that, it immediately triggers in your head shill bidding. What's going on? 1 bid and it sold.
It can do, yeah.
It's a Fortnite book. It's like, why in the world would anyone pay that much? There's got to be some shillery going on, right? That's what this comic book app said. This comic book app had posted these listings, and they posted this book under what's called their buyers beware category. And the buyer beware category, the buyer beware category is a category on this app that basically tells everybody to stay away from these books or stay away from the sales, because that category is used to protect people. It's basically saying,
I've seen it. I've seen the category before.
Saying, be careful what you buy on these books, because you could be paying shill prices. That's the whole point of the category. So of course, having the inside knowledge of everything that went down, because I'm in constant communication with AKA Bog. We play Fortnite every day. We're always talking, and we're talking about these listings. He bought some of those before those books got listed. He bought the first wave of them, and he knew who bought the others. He knew who bought those listings because he was bidding on them. He got outbid
as well.
He was outbid on those books by Fortnite collectors. So I messaged this app. I said, "Hey, I know everything about this book. I know the whole story, and I know who bought those books." I said, "I can give you all the proof, the citations. I can give you everything. I can give you chat logs. I can give you everything." So I did. I gave him my whole spiel, everything I just told you guys. I told this app. And he said, "Okay." He's like, "Awesome." The reason I reached out to him is because I wanted him to take off those books from that category. I wanted him to I wanted him to correct the record, because not only did it not belong in that category, the actual information on the book was wrong. He in his app listed this variant as only having 2 editions, a trade and a virgin, which is somewhat correct, right? Because that's the 2 covers, but remember we talked about there's actually 4 different versions of the Virgin and 1 trade, so there's actually 5 and not 2. So I wanted to give him all the correct information and him to update his listing on the book, and to perhaps maybe take it out the category. And he's like, "Oh yeah, cool." He's like, "Yeah, we'll get into it." He said he would contact his connections, and he said he would message none other than the head of marketing at DC. So this guy apparently has high up connections to Marvel and DC, and he proceeded to message the head of marketing at DC, and he got back to him. He said he usually gets back to him within a day, so I was super hopeful. Well, about 11 days go by, and I messaged him. I said, "Hey, did you ever get back to your guy?" He said, "Oh yeah." He said, he said, he said, "Yeah, he got back to me. He said everything you said has been verified." So, so everything basically we were completely vindicated. Like we weren't lying about these books. We were like straight from the horse's mouth, straight from DC. He said you were completely right. But the bad news was, he said you are completely unable to update your listing. You cannot write the correct information. You cannot talk about this. He had been publicly put to what amount to a cease and desist on this listing to completely freeze it forever. His reason was given because that was at the time where DC was going through a lot of layoffs. So he said what the head of marketing told him was, in fear of us giving DC any reason to fire anybody, they were in fear of their jobs at that point. They said that there's a worst case scenario that they were saying that there's a worst case scenario that could happen that would threaten the job security of certain people that were responsible for releasing this book into the public, meaning they shouldn't have even given these to the creators.
Done it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that is the controversial end of the story to now. Where we're at today is we have been publicly told that we are not supposed to talk about this book and not supposed to release any information about it, and that is forever supposed to remain in the dark. But remember what I said earlier. Remember what I said earlier. I'm not a gatekeeper. I don't hide things. I don't care.
That's the thing. The listings are out there on eBay already, so the app should just correct the information. It's not like they were the first ones putting it out there.
They were told the app was told by DC he could not correct the record. He could not update.
I'm like, I don't work for you, man. You're not my boss.
So that's the current story. Not only is it a rare unicorn ghost book, it's an unreleased book. The theory of it and the reason why it says that there's signature editions in the back. Well, we all know what happened in the last 3 or 4 years with the whole sickness, that happened. So there was supposed to be an event, some type of raffle, some type of maybe live event to where they were going to sign these books and give them out to people, maybe in raffles and maybe Dynamic Forces signed editions with, COAs, all that stuff. But it never happened. It was a canceled event. And the only people that received these books were the artists. So there's a different level of ghost books or rare books. There's 1 in 1,000, like y'all talked about, the 1 in 2,000. Sure, you can buy those if you have enough money, but something you can't buy are unreleased books. And that's why I'm so proud and honored to be able to have some of these unreleased books in my collection.
I think the closest thing in cards would be like rejected sketch cards that then eventually make it to the public. That's about
that's the closest, yeah. And it's not even that close because that happens that frequently, doesn't it? Under the table, that we all know happens frequently, but it's never spoken about. Similar kind of things, but there'll be hundreds and hundreds of them.
Like I went to Terra Peak. I mean, this doesn't say how many that are out there, but like August 12th of 2022 was like the first sale at $12.39.
Yeah, that was one of the ones.
And then there was a bunch. There was several at 1500s. And then it just kept going up from there. And I think like I could see the apps looking at this going, hey, this was an auction, but there was only one bid, but people didn't know what the hell they were looking at if they were even looking at it.
There's only one person who knows what it is.
So far, the total amount. So far, the total amount that have been publicly shown is, I believe, 22 copies of, separately across all editions of the book.
If every cover, just 22 in total,
because the only people that have them so far is AKA Bog, his 2 friends, me, and whoever bought them on eBay. There was I believe 2 or 3 sellers on eBay that amounted to all those sales. because one seller actually found like 2 sets of them, and he sold like 6 or 7 of them, or I don't know how many he sold at one seller alone. But Marshall said, "Free, do you have any Doom cards?" So maybe we should get into that a little bit.
Yeah, I want to ask you real quick on that book.
I was just a bit dumbstruck about this comic book still.
No doubt, right?
I already knew a bit of the story, and I'm just like, how did that get from that to that? So
I'm laughing at Brittany's comments.
Yeah, she missed the end of the story, so now we're gonna sound like chipmunks. Right? I did want to ask you on your book though, the one you have that was supposed to be the signed copy of that. Have you thought about reaching out to the artist to have him sign the copy?
Oh, 1000%. The whole goal of every Fortnite collector that has these books is to get the rainbow signature, meaning you get every single signature from every creator of the book. So eventually one day, yes, I will get Capullo, I'll get Snyder. The hardest one will be Donald Mustard, because he's not a comic creator per se. He's just a professional. He's just a CEO. Like he's not a so one day,
not
yes,
anymore. I mean, not anymore, but
even so, he's
just a guy now.
So this is cool. Like they dropped a Batman Who Laughs into the Fortnite world, and he just goes to town. This is where he thrives, because think about it. His whole goal is just killing people, and then what better way to drop the Batman Who Laughs is in a 100-player battle royale, where he's just slaying, he's just laughing and he's just tearing everybody up, all the innocent bears, Care Bears, and all that stuff. It's hilarious. Yeah,
I love how he just like thumbing through the comic and everything there, Leo. You know what I mean? Saying, oh, look at this!
I know, right?
Hey, I only paid $10 for it, right? So it's nothing.
Don't care what you paid.
Not too bad of a loss. I probably would have some reservation.
Put it down.
He could probably rip a page out and it'd still be worth more than $10.
That's a mad story though. And what year was it? Did you say when it came out again, Leo?
2020. It was 2022.
You said 21, 22.
The series came out in 21, but by the time it was over, and then the Foundation came out, it was 22, I believe.
Yeah, they've done some
still printing press problems and stuff in there, so I suppose, you know what I mean? It just seems nuts that's so basically they probably should have been destroyed, shouldn't they? Somebody's not destroyed them or whatever, I'm guessing. Or do you think it was for signing events? Most probably, like I said before.
It was for the event.
But then they should have destroyed them after, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, they should have been destroyed. They should have never been distributed, because it's like a promo. Promos, they're literally marked not for sale. You're not supposed to ever sell promotional items, like even for a comic shop. If a comic shop gets promo cards, literally like illegal for them to sell that stuff, because that was the whole purpose of them attaining them for free, is to give them out for free. That's the kind of point of promo, the label of promo. So it's basically a top-down thing, to where they were just scared about getting fired, man. They didn't want to talk about any of this stuff. So maybe one day we can shed some more light onto this, but that's why I'm coming onto these podcasts, to kind of correct the record and keep the record straight for people that deserve to hear this.
Just to get somebody sacked, basically, Leo. You just want somebody not to be able to buy the little baby girl nappies. I know
someone...
You've got a little bit bitter because you've not got the other copies, and you're just like, oh, fuck it. I'm getting people at me. Left, right, and centre.
All right,
I can't have them all. I'm taking everybody out.
I was boring. Tough grade. Tough grade said, "What is this blasphemy? Where's the Doom stuff?"
Yeah, he did.
Who's Tough
Grade?
Yeah. Who is Tough Grade? By the way, let's give him a shout out.
Tough Grade is a new account from a creator online. He goes by Monster in the Iron Mask, and
really? This is like his 8th alternate account here.
So he's getting into some real cool stuff, to where he's making custom rug designs. So yeah, y'all check his account out. Tough Grade. But yeah, to maybe get to why everybody clicked on the thumbnail for Marvel Marshall, this is my Doom binder.
Oh, I've not seen this before, mate.
So here we are.
Oh, this is nice to see.
So first page, we get kind of little one-off things. You get little one-offs. What is that? Starting with 19 86 John Byrne. You get some random 87. Get some playing cards, and then you're getting into. Let me see. Let me move over a little bit.
I like this. I'm into this.
So we're not even going to be able to get the whole thing with this angle, but you can kind of see what's going on. So so now we have Panini. So if anyone doesn't know, listening to the chat, Dr. Doom was banned. He was banned in Marvel cards all the way from 2014 up until 2023. So for almost a decade, he was banned along with the Fantastic Four. There's a lot of banned characters, Punisher, Nightcrawler, different characters go banned in and out for many reasons. It could be copyright issues, could be licensing issues, could be like as in the Punisher, controversial issues. Deadpool, they don't want characters with guns, they don't want characters with knives, all this stuff. So but what Panini did, being overseas, somehow they had a workaround or a loophole to where they could release.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah,
they have different rules to where they could release banned characters from their list. So that's some of the Panini.
What's the comic book there, Leo? Just go back a page. I've never known what the book was. So for the Panini one, it's a great. What is the book? Do you know?
I don't know what issue it is from. But it's from Fantastic Four. It's an issue of Fantastic Four from 2018. So it's from 2018. Fantastic Four with Assad Ribic. So look up Assad Ribic 2018 Fantastic Four. You got Alex Maleev. You got Gabriel Dell'Otto. Maybe another Ribic. You got Arthur Adams. So you got a lot of heavy hitters here. And then we get to Gingy Man's favorite cards.
We'll not bother looking at them, Leo. For God's sake.
We can skip those. You can skip those.
Turn over.
We got those. Shout out Overpower.
Overpower cards too.
Oh, be quiet, boy. I'm going.
And then shout out to Sergio again. He loves Sergio loves TCG cards. So these are a lot of the versus cards. So we get into versus. He loves versus. He loves TCGs.
They're cool, aren't they?
Here's some more random TCGs. Some TCGs there. Got some Grateful Deads. Oh, this is actually Sergio's. I got to send this to him. This is the promo. So the Grateful Dead, the legendary rock band, made their tour passes to be Dr. Doom.
Did other characters as well, didn't they? Wasn't just Doom, was it?
Yeah, they did some Mariner. They did some other ones. So now we get to actual U.S. releases. So this would be considered like his rookie card. It's a 1975 Topps. That's kind of his first break into cards, even though it's a sticker. So a lot of people don't count it. Some people do. But these are his first card. And then we go into, the 1990s. We're working our way. 89 with John Byrne, the Byrne collection, everyone's favorite. What is this? This is the 90 Impel, right? I think. Is that what these are called?
I love comic images. I love anything comic images. Though.
We're moving over. We got all these. So we got the famous Stan Lee. And what's cool is a lot of these are comic books. So like this No Prize book, which is upside down, but that's how it was printed. It's actually Stan Lee wearing the Doom armor because that was one of his favorite characters. I actually have the comic book.
Okay, right.
Yeah, so it's awesome. Jim Lee, one of the classic, everyone's favorite artists. Got Punisher, Doom. You got these universe, the Marvel 92 universe. Then we go to favorite. We go to favorite Juiceco. So Juiceco did his 92 masterpieces. One of the best, coolest images with him in a spaceship. You get what is this? 93 masterpieces with Glenn Fabry. Pretty cool image. Get some more Juiceco, but this time Doom 2099. If anyone doesn't know, if you're a Doom collector, you have to alter your searches because not only is there Dr. Doom, there's actually Doom 2099, which is the spin-off that they did in the 90s for like the future. They did like a future series to where they depicted heroes from the future, including Spider-Man 2099. Everybody knows him. So this is the Doom version of Doom.
Well, you've got the universe parallel of him there as well, haven't you? The one that came in the 9-card inserts.
Oh yeah, these are some
card. Yeah.
That's a part of the puzzle right there. Yeah. So we got the 94 Flair. It's an awesome one. The Pepsi. I think it's Mexico Pepsi.
So many Doom cards, isn't there? Even though it's been banned, looking because it's so old.
Well, luckily he goes back. So yeah, so you get some more 94 Flair. Then you get into then you get to 95. So you get the 95s by the Hildebrandt brothers. So you get the Greg and Tim Hildebrandts. Amazing renditions. Then you get the 96, the emotions. So you get the emotions right here. Then you get into metal. You get the metal. So you got the Gold Sig edition. Then you got the silver flashers. So those are the silver flashers. Get into some,
going nuts.
Well,
I love this.
I'll tell you the reason after. I'll tell you the reason right after. So
I like it. I just love seeing people's collections, especially in order. Like I can just look all day. It's cool.
Yeah, and this is if anyone's listening to this podcast, you should have been watching it. I should have put that in the beginning. This is more of a visual experience, so my apologies to any of the audio listeners if this does go up on any audio platforms. Go ahead and do yourself a favor, check out the YouTube if you want to see this stuff. Then we kind of skip forward, man. There's kind of a break after like the 90s. It goes into like after 2001. There's like nothing for kind of a good while, and then you go to well, shout out to that Hulk series real quickly. The Hulk set.
Yeah, great series. Yeah, what Vic opened. Shout out to Vic.
Yeah, he pulled that one. So you get to 2007. You gotta have to fast forward all the way to 2007 to make Doom's reappearance in the Masterpiece set.
Okay, yeah.
So he goes there. Then you get the Fantastic Four archive set. He's got some appearances in those. Beginnings, the first volume of Beginnings, the new one just came out, but there was the first one that came out there. Let's see, we're almost to the end. So we're all the way in 2012. So 2012, 2012 premiere. So Dr. Doom was in the first premiere set of 2012. Luckily, it was the last set he was in premiere, actually.
Which is a great set, by the way.
Oh, I love it. Then 2013 Flair Retro. Luckily, he was in. He had that famous PNG.
It did,
from that, which I do finally have.
Oh, nice.
Well, no, not the PNG, but
doesn't matter.
1 second. So there is some cards that I haven't placed in the binder yet because I just got them recently. But yeah, luckily I was able to get this insert, and it's the the Metal Blaster 2013. So this should go around here somewhere.
Which is great. Yeah, which is great. Still cool.
It's a cool kind of gold foil.
Oh, yeah.
The way it hits that foil is just perfect.
Yeah, I've got the full set and I love it. And in the binder, it's like great.
Yeah.
The original. Where do you draw the line on sets like that and the modern sets with the number of different parallels there are of the artwork and stuff?
So I'll be totally upfront about this binder. 99% of what you see here comes from another collector in the hobby. Me coming from the comic world, I barely started getting into cards basically this year, even though I've known about them since 2021. This might make people, mad or something, but hopefully not. But I was actually
gifted. You can get mad at anything, Leo.
I was actually gifted. I was gifted 99% of these cards from one person. From one person. Can you guess who that was?
Yeah, we don't think it's a big secret. It's definitely not Sergio.
Tough grade gifted it.
No, it's actually from our other Mexican Mafia member, Doom card. So it's from none other than the legendary Doom card. Doom card at one point of his career had collected every single basically card appearance of Doom, and that's basically what you see here. Is basically virtually every it's at least every U.S. appearance. He does have a lot of foreign appearances as well, not here, that he kept, but he basically whittled down his collection heavily and got rid of a lot of stuff. So he was able to bless me and Sergio with his with all of his cards, and
you weren't the only person.
So not only is this like completely kind of linear to my comic collection, because as we said, I usually collect like every Doom. Well, now I was able to have every Doom card. So I'm continuing that tradition. I'm carrying the torch. So to answer your question, True Blue, I've completely decided to carry the torch and continue collecting Doom in the current series. So with that,
I'm just reading Vic's comment. Yeah, yes, Vic, you're right. Yeah, Leo's also a legend as well, though.
So with that being said, let me show you. We're fast forwarding.
So you, Vic.
Now, I'm just organizing these.
Yeah, and no shot at Sergio. He's got this persona that he has to maintain.
Sergio's a legend, isn't he?
We can't have other people knowing that he's actually a nice guy. So we got
Sergio, yeah.
Oh no, Sergio's the best. He gave me this card. I'll show you a card.
Sergio's amazing.
He's given me a good amount of cards, but this is one of the best cards he's given me. This is the 75th anniversary. So this is
Oh, Sergio, if you're still watching, Tough's great. I've still got your Daredevil. I've just not sent the stuff over to Nate yet. I haven't forgot.
So this is a beautiful Oliver Coipel from the 75th anniversary.
Is that a comic cover?
It's not.
Panel, Leo? Have you found out?
It's not. It's actually original. It's original. It's original to this.
Sure?
So, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. So this was.
I didn't think any of the
card is numbered out of 75. What sucks about these 75th anniversaries is they're numbered. So anytime you see one pop up, it's like once or twice a year. It's like really rare. And even if it is, it's just listed in high numbers that you don't really want to pay.
Do you know what? I didn't know any of them were original. I mean, I've got the X-23 and I've got the comic book, and like the Surfer is in a book. The Magic is a cover from a book. I just thought they were all covers or panels. I really did.
Oh no!
But you taught me something there, Leo. I didn't know that at all.
So as we talked about,
Annual's the first set. Annual's the first set back for Doom and the Fantastic Four.
Exactly.
Besides, technically in America, but if you count Panini in the EU and South America, then not.
But we
just for anybody who's interested in Doom who may not know, that's all I'm saying. The Europeans do it better.
So yeah, to answer that question, Nate, I am, shout out to Elusive, a base card collector. So all I collect are the base card parallel of cards. I do not go out of my way to chase parallel foils. So I'm completely content with having the base card. In fact, I much prefer it. I much prefer cards that don't have a color variation, as I do see the color variation as kind of distracting and kind of taking away from the art. I much rather have the base version. And like I said, there's some exceptions here and there, sure, but for the majority of my collection going forward, like in that binder, as you saw, those are from Doom. So like he got the gold SIGs, he got the silver flashers. Mm-hmm. Those are great. I wouldn't trade them ever. I would keep them forever. But going forward in Marvel, I'm not going to invest the time and resources and energy to rainbow collect, unfortunately. So sorry for anyone that wants me to or not, but I just
it's how you collect. That's the way you want to do it.
Yeah.
I love base sets. Me and Nate both have tons of base sets.
Yeah. I got tons.
I have expensive cards too, but I've still got base sets. Yeah, I love them. Yeah. If you don't like base sets, like you're missing out. You're really missing out.
Speaking of base cards, here is a base card.
I love this.
So
card,
this is Joe Jusko's 2016 Marvel Masterpiece. Until this year, what's the 2023? this was the last time we ever saw Doctor Doom in a Masterpiece set. Doom in the
So hard
FF.
to hear that, isn't it, Leo?
Doom was skipped. Oh, it's terrible. He was skipped. He was skipped in 2018 with Bianchi, and he was skipped in 2020 with Palumbo. But luckily, for some miracle, Jusco was able to slip his characters in of the FF. So
I think it's because the time it took in between Juice.
That's what he said. That's what he said because he started it. He started it before, a couple years before 2016. So
exactly that.
He was actually be able to squeeze in right on time. So for the first time since 2016, Doom returned to Upper Deck in the form of Marvel Annual, what's called 2021 to 2022, even though it came out in 2023. And this is his card. It's a cool card. It's taking comic art. So this is comic art. Even what's cool, and if you know the background, it's actually from his quote unquote first solo series. So if you check the back, it says Doctor Doom issue number 8, and it shows you the background of that comic that it's from. So shows you right there. Look at his power level. I mean, just look at it, guys. He's kind of overpowered. Like he's top tier intelligence and durability, energy production. That's the base card. There is a bunch of different parallels. And this was the
Doom has been in every comic you'll ever see, hasn't he? Like, he's looking for somebody who's been spread across every IP in Marvel. He's been everywhere, hasn't he? Everywhere.
And that's why these beginning cards are cool, because they take the old school approach, combining with the new. So you get to see an edition that he was drawn from 1977 compared to 2021. The real reason I love this annual set, think about it, guys. 2021 to 2022, that was the first year I started reading comic books. So I was actually able to read this series that came out. This series that came out, Excalibur. I was able to read this series, this comic. So I have all these comic books. I have all these comic books that you see here, the comic version. So this is the Humble Beginnings insert. Pretty dope. This is the pretty cool. So
those stickers are so good, man.
I haven't got any, but they look amazing. Yeah, I'd love some. If I had any buddies who might send me some, maybe might get some as a present one day. But
so we were lucky and blessed.
I'll send you Captain America.
we were lucky to have Dr. Doom as one of these holograms. The sticker hologram.
I agree. Yeah, I agree that. Yeah.
And then this is crazy. So it's kind of hard to see.
I didn't know it was in one of them.
But that's him right there on the splashticular, the lenticular card. So he actually shows up in about 3 or 4 lenticular cards from this set. This is the only one. This is the only one I have so far. But I think this is the most important one because this is from the Fantastic Four, and look at him on the cover. So they put him on the cover. Like I said, I read this series when it came out. He had a wedding. He actually had a wedding in this series. So that's his wife to be right there with Johnny Storm.
I saw a Dazzler comic the other day when he was in the comic shop, and he's on that. Have you seen it, Leo?
Oh yeah. I love that.
And I was gonna buy it for you or Sergio or whoever, but I think it was an English price variant. I was telling Nate after the show yesterday. It was beat up and that, and it was like I think he wanted about $10 or something. I thought I'm sure it's not worth that for what that is. But I'm just shocked. I thought we got Doom there just with the back of Dazzler, and he's like he's not green, is he? He's not like the green Doom. He's just like a Dazzler type Doom, Nate. It's proper weird, when you see it.
Yeah.
So fast forward.
I'll go back and pick it up for a laugh.
So fast forward to Beginnings. Beginnings is the new set. So we were lucky to get
the transparent past.
So here are 2 out of the 3 transparent pasts that Dr. Doom has in that set.
They're quite cool as well. I think I like
it. Here is a pack pulled original sketch by Tim Shin from that set, featuring the first time Dr. Doom ever got his mask. So his mask was created in the Tibetan monk mountains as prophecy. So that was how he first got his armor. You go to even comic clippings from beginnings. So this is a comic clipping, Fantastic Four Annual number 2 from 1964 that it was released.
Which is cool, isn't it?
So got that there.
That's cool that you already got one from the beginning set. There's like 2 X-Force books in the beginning set, and I haven't seen any of those cuts pull up yet.
Oh, so there might be Domino in it, right? No.
I think that's the only thing that she's really got in there.
So of course, coming from the comic world, it's so super awesome to see cards from the comics. Like, look at that. So on the back, you get to see, you know, the book that I've had for, you know, over a year now, and to get a panel from inside the book is a perfect match from all the way from 1964, as you see right there. So we got some of those. We'll just quickly show some kind of random cards here. This is a funny one. You might have seen it on Doom Cards. So check this out.
Well, I've not seen that. You know, I've not seen him post there. No.
I believe Doom Card actually has the original art of this. He actually has the original art of this card. It's some type of like Garbage Pail Kids kind of parody card. Yeah. It has Val Victor, but there's actually a parallel called Doomsday J. So there's actually 2 versions of that card that I bought them together. So that's a funny one. I got this recently. It's Doom related somewhat, but this is Joe Sinnott. He was a legendary inker for a lot of the early Doom mags, along with Jack Kirby as the artist. He was the person who inked Jack Kirby. So this is one of those 98 creator series. Lucky to have one of those. Got some
and he's a big player to get a Sinnott auto. It's big, isn't it? You know,
these sketches are fun. These are just gifts. So this is from my buddy on YouTube, Whack Comics. He found this online, or he found it at a convention. This is from my friend Chthonic Comics on Instagram. But we do have to show off this sketch.
Yeah, I was waiting for this.
Yeah. So this is the famous Nar sketch.
Tell the story, Lou. I'm going for a C. I know the story already. I can skip this one. I can go for smoke and skip it because I already know it. But yeah.
So imagine me, you know, just a noob. I don't know anything about cards. You know, but I do go. I went to the Dallas Card Show in 2022, and I went with my buddy. He's a baseball card collector. He invited me, and he's searching through the booths. He's searching for baseball cards. So he just goes to sport booths. He goes to this one sports booth, takes a picture of this card, because I was on the opposite side looking at the Marvel booth. Of course, you know, I was in the Marvel cards, hunting for stuff, and then he sends me a picture, and I just immediately text him back. I was like, "Where are you at?" I was like, "I need to go." I was like, "I need to find this thing," and I call him. He doesn't answer because I guess he's making a deal with somebody. He's busy. So I rush over to find him. I try to find him, but I can't find him anywhere. And then I find his dad, because his dad went with us, and his dad just points to a booth. He just points in a direction. And I just rush towards that direction. I find the booth. I find the booth somehow. I find the booth, and then I'm flipping through the box, and this card was at the top of the box. It was just sitting there because he placed it strategically for me to find, and I found it. I picked it up. At the time, I didn't know who Nar was. Like, I know who he was, but I didn't know that this was the Nar that everyone was talking about. I didn't know that what I was looking at was a really kind of what would be eventually kind of sought after and everything. So, you know, when I was casually looking at sketch cards, would you kind of agree that roughly they kind of trend around, if it's kind of a little name or lesser name, it's like 100, 100 is a reasonable price for a sketch card. Would you say kind of accurately?
I would say so, yeah.
Besides, not considering top tier artists.
That's pretty reasonable. Yep.
So that's the idea of the range I was thinking in my head. so I tell the guy at the booth, I said, what do you want for it? He's like, man, he's like, I don't know. He's like, he's looking at it. He's like, this is a pretty sick card. I was like, yeah, I like it a lot. I'm a Doom fan. Every time I meet somebody, I give them my whole spiel. I said, I'm a big Doom collector. I have over 800 comics, in hopes of them giving me a deal. When you tell people that you're a collector and it's going to a forever home, sometimes, a lot of times they're happy about that. They want it to go to a person that's going to keep it and a person that's going to enjoy it. So I give them a lowball offer, as I always do. I always lowball people when I can. And I told him, could you do $25? So that should have been like a spit in the eye, right?
Because he already didn't know what he had. So
he didn't know anything. He didn't even know who this was. So I say 25, and he's like, "Ooh, I don't know about that, buddy." He's like, "That's a nice looking Doom." He's like, "I can't do anything less than a crispy $100 bill." And I said, "Well, can you do PayPal, friends and family?" And he's like, "Yeah, I can." And that was the deal. I was able to get this NAR card from a sports booth for $100 PayPal, friends and family, and walk away that day with an original.
Moral of the story here, Leo, is if we're going to shows, we need to go with you, because
you need to go with Cameron Wright. He's the lucky charm, because Cameron Wright is the guy that found this for me and let me know about it.
I don't know. You got the books too for $10.
Crazy thing happens at
you're the common factor there.
Yeah. So that's one of the kind of the grails in my collection. Something that I'll never think about parting with any decade soon. It's just something that will stay forever. It's
just so badass, though.
It's like one of the crown jewels of my collection. You got the signature in the back. The world is yours, which is a cool tagline. This card was graded in BGS register at 2013. So this card's at least a decade old already. We don't know really what year he would have done it. No earlier than 2013, or no later than 2013 would have been the date of this card. So yeah, there's that.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. That's so awesome to hit a card like that and find something like that. Marvel Marshall asked if you weren't collecting Doom or Blade, who would you be collecting?
And kind of like Vic said in the chat, Free likes Blade. So Blade is my second guy. And Blade is my second collector, and he said if I didn't collect any of those two, it's gonna sound weird and kind of random, but I think She-Hulk. She-Hulk is actually like my.
He's coming for you, Charles.
Is my Marvel lady. So everyone has to have a lady that they collect. So that would be She-Hulk would be my next kind of endeavor. But here's a cool Blade clipping I recently got in. So here's for the New Beginning set as well. You get Blade the Vampire Hunter #1, and this is actually from Blade's first solo series ever. So Blade had a solo series in 1994 for the first time ever. 2 decades after his creation in the 70s, 2 decades later, they gave Blade a series, and for the first time, Marvel and Upper Deck has created a cut series, a comic clipping series for him. So I was able to luckily get one of those. There's only 35 of them, and so far I have 2 now. So this is my.
Oh, did you get some of them? Oh shit! Yeah, they're cool, aren't they?
I got another one. Jake, I don't know if you've seen this one.
Nice. I saw the first one. I didn't see the other one. Yeah.
So
nice one.
2 out of the 35. I'm still looking for more. So if anyone finds any more, just hit me up. But yeah.
If anyone finds any X23, I'm interested. Why am here? I might as well say
it. Here's some more sketches.
Oh, stop it now. Martinek, isn't it? That obviously.
Yeah. So we get a Warren Martinek 6-case incentive.
There's two things I've realised about tonight on this show. The first thing is Leo is the most lucky person I've ever met. And luck does come through research and hard work and putting yourself in them places. It's never just luck, you know. It does come from like doing all sorts of stuff and digging deep and delving. And I've never been so fucking quiet. I just keep shutting up. Every time Leo talks, I'm thinking I don't want to say anything.
I know you don't want to miss the story.
These are some
never
sketches.
No.
I like that second one. That's pretty sweet.
I like the Masterpieces one. Is that 2008?
Yeah, this is 2008.
Yeah,
2008. Keith O'Malley. Shout out to Card Shop 616. I'm sure y'all guys know about him.
There we go. Put Vic's comment up. He made it. Wesley Snipes brought, and whoever wrote the Blade franchise, they just brought Marvel from its knees. There'd be nothing without Blade. There'd be nothing. It was the best, and still, in my eyes, Blade or Logan, two best films without doubt. So I'd probably go for Blade.
So just quickly, this sketch is pretty phenomenal. This is a really good sketch by Jose Jarro. But what's special about this is, remember what we said earlier, Dr. Doom was included in a premiere set, which happened to be the inaugural 2012 first premiere set, which all characters got all the base card characters got blank parallels for artists to sketch on to be inserted. So this is one of the Dr. Doom card stocks, which is an honor and a appreciation to have. So if you try to find something like this, just to give you a reference, there's one listed on eBay of a different artist.
Thank you, Vic.
Doom stock. The one listed on eBay is listed at $8,000. I don't know why. I just don't know why. But to give you an idea of how like rare they are, I guess, of how people put values on them, that's, I guess, his don't want to let go price. So
basically, that's what it is. Yeah.
But just saying, I didn't pay anything near that. I didn't pay a tenth of that. So luckily, I was able to.
Yeah, what happened is Leo was going to the barbers because he needed his haircut. He ran out of Soul Glow. There was no Soul Glow left from the Eddie Murphy film, and the barber just had it in the drawer. Leo said, "There you go, I'll give you a tip." And he said, "Oh yeah, that's my tip drawer." And then Leo found the Doom sketch card in it. That's how lucky he is.
So now,
that's quite cool, actually.
Speaking of more premiere, we get. I think this is 2014, so this is the second premiere set, and we got some Blade. We got some triple panel Blade action. Got the full figure there, and then on the back is a really cool black and white shot.
As in most premiere cards, I prefer the backs to the front. I don't know why.
Yeah,
most of them I just always seem to like the back better.
To have something from premiere from your favorite characters, to me, is like one of the utmost honors that you could kind of search after. It's just they're just one of a kind, and it's just when they knock it out the park like this, put all the details and time into it. It's a lot better than just grabbing a simple sketch someone took 5 seconds on, but you could tell like they took their time on this one. So
shout out to Ash Gonzalez, who's been showing a lot of his premiere stuff recently.
Oh, man!
Shout out to Will, our mate, Melfi Collectibles, because he has some nice premiere Venoms. Yeah.
So here's my second Blade premiere. So this one is pretty cool. This one's from later. This is from the 18 set, the 17/18 set. Another 3-panel, and this back is cool too. You get the retro Blade, so you get the 70s Blade with the fro. So.
I'm into that. That's me.
It's a cool. That's a cool thing. And I guess the last thing I'll probably show off, just to end it with a bang. I could just go on for probably a day, but we can't.
Yeah, we can do it again.
We can't take up everyone's time. But
I want to talk about like the French and Dutch Blade variant comics and that. I've seen you do it before, but I'd like you to explain it for us on another podcast.
Yeah,
another YouTube live we'd have to do in that.
The last thing I'll show off is You guys may not follow me on Instagram, but my Instagram account is Free Comix, just like you see on the screen, but just one word, Free Comix.
We've linked that below in the description too, guys.
Oh, cool. So if you notice, let me stop cam. And that's my logo. So this is my logo. It is Doctor Doom. It's actually a Doctor Doom variant. So Doctor Doom at one point in like 2015, 16, believe it or not, actually took on the mantle of Iron Man. So while Tony Stark was kind of, he was basically perceived as dead after the events of Civil War in the comics. Of course, Doctor Doom swooped in and said, "Hey, I'm gonna step into his place while he's gone." So there was a moment in time where Doctor Doom actually took on the mantle of Iron Man and called himself the infamous Iron Man, and it was an interesting arc with a really amazing art by none other than Alex Maleev. So Alex Maleev is just a god tier artist, and he was able to do
He's awesome, isn't it?
He's able to do the full interiors. They had covers by like Asad Ribic, so it was just the ultimate pairing of Asad Ribic and Alex Maleev. But there's an issue to number 2, which was his most kind of iconic, a rendition, and that was this comic. It's called Infamous Iron Man number 2, variant edition by Raphael Albuquerque. So Raphael,
I love this. When you showed me, I love this. It's amazing.
This is the full circle story of my whole story. So I started collecting comics in 2021, and I ran into a YouTuber. I ran into a comic collector YouTuber at my comic shop after months of watching him on YouTube. And I said, I did the Spider-Man hands. I said, "Hey," I pointed at him. I was like, "I know you." And I recognized him in public. and he was kind of flabbergasted because that was the first time he'd been recognized in public. And we were talking, and he's like, "Man, he's like, you really need an Instagram account." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, that's where all the comic book people are." I was like, "Really?" Because I was never been a social media guy. I just never been a part of that. Like even my personal stuff back in the day, I would barely post. I would never really get on it. I still don't do any YouTube content or anything, but I finally got Instagram, and I was reading the series at the time, and I chose this image as my Instagram logo, and is actually the first image I ever posted on Instagram. And I titled the caption "Enter Free Energy" because at the time, instead of Free Comix, I was Free Energy Comics. That was my first name, was Free Energy Comics, before I decided to shorten it to make it simple and sweet for everyone to be able to read and remember. I changed it to Free Comix. Also kind of to shout out to my buddies, Matrix Comics and Lucky Comics. I kind of wanted to go with them. I have a little Blade crew we got called the Daywalker crew. Yeah, so
is Elusive in the Daywalker crew?
No, he's not.
He's not allowed. He's not allowed.
I'm just saying. But put it this way, Nate, I've not been invited either. And Leo knows I'm a big Blade.
Leo, I told you he was sour about it. I told you he was sour.
Yeah, well, you know.
But shout out to Elusive though, but because of him, I was able to get this edition. Can you tell any difference? So if you look here, right under the Marvel, it says Mexico. So this is actually basically the same exact cover, but it just has a tiny little Mexico on it. And of course, the inside is Spanish because this is the Mexican edition. So this is the Mexican, parallel of the book, which I'd never seen before, and I still haven't seen it since. But I was lucky to grab that from this Mexico dude. But yeah, I might have a few copies of this book. What's cool about this book is, or what's interesting about this book is that it's a 1 in 25 incentive ratio. We always talk about incentive ratios in comics, how a shop had to order, for this instance, 25 copies of the regular cover A just to qualify to get one copy of this book. So point blank is you're not going to be able to easily find incentive ratios of books from the mid 2010s unless you have a shop in New York, like Midtown Comics or like Mile High Comics in Colorado. Unless you're going to like a Fortune 500 comic book shop, which there are not many of. Many shops don't even order 25 copies of a number two of an issue. So there is points in time where 0 copies of this is listed on eBay. Some are listed right now. So these go through droughts. Some droughts where they turn up as ghosts and you can't find them for a while. But you can find these here and there. But I did stack them shortly after because of an important reason. And shout out to none other than Monster and the Iron Mask, Sergio, because of him. Give me 1 second.
We always shout out Sergio every show.
He's the GOAT for this. Because of him, we have a little group chat, and one day in the group chat, he puts a Instagram message or Instagram post. He said, "I don't know, Free." He said, "That's the logo," and I was like, "Wait, what?" And I clicked the post, and I see the original art for the comic. And as we know, original art is one of one. It's the original. So, sure, anyone can buy the comic if they find it online. But to have the original of anything is a dream. And it would be awesome to have something like that. So, of course, I took no time. I immediately messaged the seller as soon as I saw that post. He had it listed for a price. I tried to haggle down like under 2x. I tried to under him by 2x. He wasn't going for it. But he did budge on the price. He did come down for me after I gave him my spiel. And I'm proud to say that I was able to attain
the
original cover art to infamous Iron Man #2 by Raphael Albuquerque. So I will
cool is that.
That's pretty awesome.
I will share my screen because I want to show this off a little bit better. Share that.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, I love sketch cards. No, sorry, not sketch cards. I love Marvel cards and original art from Marvel cards. But for me, an original art from a comic, it just gets me better. And there's no reasoning for that. That's just my own personal taste.
So what we have here is a website called Comic Art Fans. If anyone is interested in original art from comic books and card art, go to Comic Art Fans. You can search anything. You can search any series, any artist, and you'll be able to find things. You'll be able to have your own, your own gallery, which I have here of mine.
And it's the good thing about that. I mean, you and Sergio showed me this website. And the good thing about it is there's a lot of artists on there. I mean, that's how I found out Rhiannon Owens had done a Tarzan set, sketch cards for Tarzan. Because I was looking at Rhiannon Owens on this and I looked at her Tarzan cards and they're really, really cool as well. And it's quite extensive if the artist place it on, and it can go back for years and years, can't it? It's a really good resource, like really good.
So yeah. This is to give you an idea of how big it is. Comic art traditionally most of the time comes on comic board, which is 11 by 17. So it's a rather large size. To compare the size of a comic book, this is the size we're talking about. Yes. Almost like a 2x. Almost a 2x size. So yeah, this is an artist, Raphael Albuquerque. What's cool about it is it's an ink wash cover. So instead of a traditional kind of pen and ink style, you get what's basically amounts to a watercolor. So he would basically dip the paint brushes and dip them in the ink and wet ink, and then just go throughout through the strokes. As you can see, his use of negative space here is phenomenal. He actually left out the white coming off of the energy field of the infamous Iron Man. He left all that white, so that's actually from the board itself, and he just kind of filled in the blanks there with all the black and the splatters. So what kind of separates this art just from normal is it's actually not pencils and pens. It's actually just all brush strokes and ink work.
I've been a big advocate for ages of black and white, whether it be pencil or not. I keep saying it's not that I'm tired of seeing colour. And if Ash is still in the chat, that was what was so amazing about what Ash and what Dre did when we saw just the pencils and you could see the pencil and the transformation. But I just love black and white anyway, because the artist half the time they've got to think that somebody else is going to ink whatever piece of work, aren't they, as well? You know, they don't always think in colour, do they?
Yeah, seeing the originals, there's nothing like it, because you have to also take in consideration, Jake, that 99% of the colored work you see in comics, they're digitally colored. So physical colors don't even exist. 99% of the time, I'm talking modern. So if you wanted physical versions, this would be the only version, would be the black and whites before they did the digital coloring. So yeah, to your point there. And then Armando, website is Comic Art Fans. It's called comicartfans.com. Short for CAF, CAF, Comic Art Fans.
And there's also Comic Art Tracker as well, isn't there? That's another one that you showed me and Sergio showed me.
Yeah, Comic Art Tracker if you want to find for sale. Josh said, "For your massive beard is amazing." I remember when my beard was all black, no white or gray. That's awesome, man. Yeah, you got a good beard, man. I loved when you did that Wolverine cosplay. I saw he shaved his beard and then went to the conventions as Logan.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Free cat afford razors or to get his beard cut. That's why.
I try to go to my local beard trimmer one day because there's a barber shop you can go to in my old town. My beard was like this long. It looked like a Taliban agent, like a terrorist. But I went there one day and there's a place called Beard Commander, and it's just a bunch of Masons, and they're all like tatted, and then they look like bikers. So I go and I said, I want to trim my beard. It's like a record stopped. The record just stopped, just went, and then they got visibly upset. They were like, "You want to what? You're what?" And I was like, "I want to trim my beard." And then they looked at me crazy. They gave me about 100 different reasons as to why not to shave my beard, to trim my beard. Because it's like anti-religious to them. The owner of the shop has a beard, that goes down to like his stomach, and all of them have beards. But never go to Beard Commander if you want your beard shaved. They'll basically heckle you out, and they'll basically just trim like a centimeter off. They won't actually
cut you out of it. Yeah. Right, you're done now. You're sorted.
Like you don't even notice.
It's sacrilegious to them and they're barbershop. That's what's ironic about it. But yeah.
That's what's funny though, isn't it? No, you don't need your haircut and you want to grow it long. It's like, no, you don't want to be doing that. Yeah, just go outside, don't bother. I can't grow one, I can't just get a little bit here. Like it's useless, my beard. It's like I just can't do it. Terrible.
Have you tried?
Yeah. I went to China for a month and didn't have a shave and just like. And Andrew said, "Oh, you've nearly grown a beard." I said, "Thanks, Andrew. I'm like 42 and I still can't grow a beard." I don't think I washed for a month either in China. I can't remember. I might wash once a week. I don't know. No, I can't do it. No. So
that was just some of some of the crown jewels of my collection. I'm glad you're able to. I was able to share that with you guys.
I've never been so silent, Leo. Never.
I feel bad for anyone who's been listening this long. There's no audio.
I think what we're gonna do. Yeah. Nah, it's all right. It's all good. I think what we need to do now, we need to have a Marvel Jerks with Leo. We just get Leo as like the history teacher. In the corner, he just starts telling you the stories and this, that, and the
That's the best part is just hearing all the stories and the information about all the books and how he got into it and everything.
No, and like I said before, it's the same about when you see shout out again to Johnny Bravo. Like he doesn't just post a card. And like John has got an amazing collection. John is an amazing artist. I know he'll say he's not an artist, but he is. And I love those long Instagram posts. I can't do them. It's just not me. But what I love is like when my mates do them, and it's just like, oh yeah.
See, Brittany's putting off the housework so she can be here to listen.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, my Strongbow cans are backing up as well, but you know what I mean? I've just got like that big stack there, and I'm thinking, I could be doing with more than these there. No, it's been amazing, Leo, and we've got tons more we could talk about, and we could go on all day, but I'm calling it.
Yeah, man.
I've never been.
Well, do you want to wrap us up with the typical Jerks wrap up, Jake, or you want to leave that for another one?
We can't do it on YouTube. Can we do that on YouTube?
Yeah, we're past the first 10 seconds of the episode. We can do whatever we want.
I didn't swear very much either, did I? No, I'm not doing it in honor of free.
All right.
No.
We'll save another one. We'll save it for a recorded one.
See that then?
Hi, Andrea.
Did you see that then? That was like see that no? Mad Andrea. Run past again, Andrea. Go on, Andrea.
She's tired of you.
That was the hint. That was the hint to tell him to get off.
Like, wrap this up. I got stuff I gotta do. You're in my way.
No, she was just closing the blinds for me because she knows I won't climb them. Close them. She knows what I'm like. Right, I think we can sort this out. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't heard the sign off before, go and jerk off.
Thanks, Leo.
Thanks.